G'day and welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Algared, and the voice in the void today is Badges. How you doing, boys?
Hello.
Always lovely to have a voice in the void, isn't it?
It is.
Yes. Even when it's as toasty in the void as it is now, and it is really rather warm in the UK at the minute.
You are having that season, I believe.
They're just having a taste of what it is for an Australian summer. That's all.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, for anyone else, this is like, oh, we'll take our jumpers off weather, but in the UK, this is, oh my God, help me, I'm melting sort of weather.
No. I'll be fair. When we do get those temperatures in Australia in summer, we are, oh my God, I'm melting. But
I'll do it. I'll do it now at the start, so people that are watching can see, and I'll do it later when more people are here. But watch this. You like my shirt, Badges?
That is a thing of beauty.
yes. Old man Al Hurston.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, clearly, and clearly, Algared's doing exceptionally well from all the royalties. This is why he has the fleet of masses funded by his appearance as Old Man Hurston.
On one shirt. Yep.
Hey Ted and Feathers.
Yeah, that was done by a guy called Rough Riders who he actually took a US president's picture. I think it was Eisenhower, and he took the background away, put Hurston behind it, photoshopped my head in. But when I first saw it, I thought, oh, he's kind of photoshopped one of the Hurston pictures. And it was only when he was telling me at the Bar Citizen, no. Oh wow! But it does pick up Old Man Al Hurston to a T, I think. So yeah,
very much so.
This shirt is a one-off. I took the image and took it to a custom place and got it made. So it's a one-off at the moment. We want to do some merchant stuff down the road, but we've got a few.
I was literally going to say votes in chat for a merch store and.
They're coming. We've just got a few legal things we've got to get worked out. We've got some people on that, but it's just going to take a bit of time because obviously different countries and stuff like that. So we're trying to get some stuff worked out, and then I'll pump you guys out some merch. We were going to test the waters with some patches, so like Inforunners PVC patches and stuff. But yeah, as you can see, SA's in chat there. He's the one that's been working on those. So if you're interested in patches, yeah, have a talk to SA, and he'll show you some of that we've been working on. So yeah.
So let's say yes, we do want them, and that'll help give us an idea of how popular they really are.
Yeah. So, but we've looked at everything, haven't we? Like over the years, like caps and shirts and like things that you generally want, though. That was the thing. Like I didn't want to just make fluff, and so we also want to do when we do some of the merch is a bit of charity stuff as well. So we were like, even with the patches, we were talking about doing like limited time. He's gonna grill me here because I'm gonna get some of these words wrong. But there were things like subdued patches and stuff like that. If you know what they are, being military terms. So some, we'll do some one-offs that would give money to charity and stuff like that. So yeah.
But it also tied in, like that type of thinking also tied into why we don't give giveaways, isn't it? Like the usual ship giveaways. Like we never just wanted to do ship giveaways for the sake of doing ship giveaways. If we do a giveaway, it was for a purpose.
Well, even after today, something SA said when we were talking earlier, maybe we will start doing ship giveaways, but the profits won't go to us; they'll go to a charity, and I've got no problem with that as long as it's for good. So we don't need the money. We always wanted to do it for good reasons, like when we did the Jaden F7A giveaway and stuff like that. So there's had a lot of stuff in the background. We looked at a bot for a long time that's just kind of fallen away because it's almost over a year since we talked about that. Because it's just too hard to get it working. And even then there were loopholes in the way that people could do stuff. So maybe we'll talk about
revisit it.
Yeah,
down the track.
Revisit. So if you want to give away a ship, get in contact with one of the Inforunners and a charity that you would like to
I'd like to see support and
and then maybe we'll do it that way. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, it's a really nice idea.
Yeah, because it's we want to be doing good. We like to help people here, so that's how we'll go from there. All right, so we're going to be looking at ISC today, as usual. They're doing a ship showdown, or was it a sprint report? So we're going to look at that. Hopefully that's a bit more meat on the bones than last week. So the new ship, a new variant, and a new vehicle is actually from the roadmap. And I wanted to have a little bit of a talk about what we thought that would be. And one of them, I think the variant, I actually think I might know what it could possibly be. But yeah, we'll have a talk about that and talk about chat and just see what you guys think. But yeah, so
fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's a favourite of both you and mine, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's something me and so when we'll talk about it when we get to it. But yeah, me and Algared are very hopeful that it is what we think it could possibly be, because we felt a bit robbed at the time. I think that would cover it, wouldn't it, Algared? So yeah.
Yeah. It was.
I'll give a little bit of a tidbit. It's an anvil flavor. All right. So someone said in chat, "Is it another colours?" Better not be, because
God help us, no.
The last one was a bit shocking. All right, so I'm going to flick us over to the browser for.
Just before we do start, in terms of that Cutlass comment, I would never say I've felt robbed about a Cutlass ship coming. And you know, for me, Cutlass, you know, Drake, whatever. So.
Yeah. Also, just remember, if you do have a question, our bot is now active again. So if you have a question, just put the word question in front of what you're saying, or even just include it somewhere in the what you're saying, and the bot will pick it up.
Yeah.
So cool.
Now, just before I start again, I do remember that last question that snuck in at the end of last week, which was asking, you know, does Badgers have
I'm reading it now in the channel, so I'm laughing. Sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, does Badgers have the Perseus given Execute's hatred of the price tag? And I've got to say, Execute's not the only one of the Inforunners that hate that price tag. Badgers doesn't have a Perseus because he hates the price tag, if I recall correctly. I don't, you know, I hate the price tag, you know. So it's not just Execute. It is I think it's probably one of the few things where the Inforunners are universally united in that dislike of the Perseus for that reason.
Badgers, I think you would kind of agree with me though. Like I might hate the price tag, but doesn't mean I hate the ship.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's a great little ship, and I think Badgers has really convinced me of that as time's gone by. So yeah.
Yeah. As someone said in chat, it's a great ship or a good ship, but ridiculous price, and that's something we all agree on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, here we go, ladies and gents.
Star Citizen is a big game with big ideals, bigger aspirations, and some of the very biggest spaceships. And while there's lots to do in the persistent universe, with more and more things being added to every patch, it's these spaceships that sit at the center of everything.
Is he wearing a wrestling shirt? That is WW.
It could be.
Yeah, I think he's wearing a wrestling shirt. That's okay.
I thought that was
That's
isn't that the Wayland Utoni shirt? Or is that something else?
Looks like Worldwide Wrestling Federation, but anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The t-shirt under his black shirt, which is under his fizzy vest, yeah.
Jared, what did you do?
Here we go.
Here, the community votes big in our annual Ship Showdown. Your chance to determine the best of the best and award the winners with new...
I'll just say about 4 hours ago, me and Paul released a video on the Ship Showdown, if you're interested later. But yeah, most of you guys here have probably already seen it.
and exclusive paints. And since this year's event starts up on Monday in like 4 days, we've got a special all-vehicle sprint report for you this week. A sprint showdown, if you would. And we're gonna start with a big look at the upcoming Drake Corsair, seen over the course of 2 consecutive sprints. As the ship moves through gray box phase, you can see the exterior detail beginning to take shape, as this sprint focused primarily on the nacelle and connecting areas.
That engine, Algared, how much? I thought that was the command center for the Caterpillar. I thought that was one of those for a second, but no.
It does kind of have that look, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really, really does. I was like getting really excited for a second, but it's not what I thought it was. But yeah.
I'm sorry, Execute. Yeah. I'm sorry you got excited over nothing.
Disappointed.
To the starboard side of this asymmetrical vehicle, to build them out so they feel properly big and chunky and structurally and functionally sound, as is the Drake way. Now, the lighter gray areas are the original concept mesh, which serves as a guide to artists to maintain the original scale and shape whenever possible. The Drake visual style is often about layering, with the interior structure poking out from beneath the more clad exterior, and as Greybox continues, it'll get closer and closer to the detailed mesh of the concept while maintaining the performance and optimization standards developed since it was first envisioned.
Those turrets have changed, Algared.
Yep.
I don't know if we can shoot
they look
forward
like
yet.
they might have a bit more thing when they pop out, but
They also look like they possibly extend. See how they got like like a telescopic look? Badges, can you see that too?
Yeah, I see it.
it looks very much like the Hammerhead turrets.
Fingers crossed, boys and girls, because that's the biggest problem with this ship. If they can fix that.
Budget version.
Yeah.
Now, not every part of a ship moves through the pipeline at the same pace.
That's different too. Is that a remote turret?
That is a remote turret, all of it.
Yeah, because it's got no...
Got no cockpit.
Interesting.
As you can see here with the remote turret jumping from concept mesh straight ahead to final art, since it's a relatively small, self-contained, and not needing the same level of iteration part as the rest of the ship. And we also have this look at working out the landing gear, a hallmark of any Greybox phase, making certain it's both stylish enough to maintain the manufacturer look, while functional enough so that the physics system won't topple the entire ship over. Unless the wind kicks up, or Burks lands it. Savage. And on the inside, this sprint also featured work on the crew quarters with a mix of Greybox and final artwork coming along quite quickly that's been enabled by efforts of team members from previous Drake ships.
I have to say, I think the...
and then 2 weeks later, after the conclusion of another sprint...
There's another screen.
I have to say, I think though that those cabins really do make the Corsair feel like more of a long-range explorer rather than one with just the bunk slotted in. So it's more creature comforts and more quality of life for the characters who are doing the exploring, as opposed to, say, the Aquila's bunks.
Yeah. I'm going to go back and watch it again because I was actually on another screen. So apologies, I've just muted it for a second. Yeah, they're pretty much in line with the cat and caterpillar. Nothing really too new.
Yeah, the beds are very Drake, but the fact that they're individual cabins rather than the tiered bunks that you get in a Connie. Well, and I think when you look at this, you've really got to view it against an Aquila rather than...
Yeah, we did say at the
most
time
of the ships.
It had way better loadout. So, yeah. All right.
And then 2 weeks later, after the conclusion of another sprint, you can see more additions made like the loading ramp, a combination of several pieces that fold down and extend out to allow access through the rear of the ship. And yes, it's big enough for an Ursa and other similarly sized ground vehicles. Yay! Let's move up the ramp into the cargo hold, where the process of Greybox is being tweaked to include material assignments, adding a bit of color to the otherwise gradient-only phase and allowing artists to better see and gauge shape breakout without having to dip into final art early, as can sometimes happen.
Remember how it had that central room that had all the components in it? Yet that actually looks like two component holds right there, or am I mistaken?
It could be two component holes there, couldn't it?
Yeah, I just remember the core tenet of this ship was that they had that central pillar room in the middle that, you know, it was a whole component room. So if they've moved components out of there, I find that interesting.
I like the idea of components being at different locations on the ship rather than all centered, because it means
harder to take down.
There's more things for players to do if, you know, component A goes down and component B goes down. You've got to move around the ship, and so
exactly.
it actually gives crew more purpose rather than just standing in one room going, yep.
Is that more badges? Is that more realistic? Like, is that a real thing, or do like ships in the Navy tend to?
Yeah, so certainly from any sort of ship perspective, because the ship has to be able to deal with a fire, flood, and actually one of the big things is smoke. Is dealing with smoke, because you imagine you can open and close a door pretty quickly in a metal ship. Fire's not going to suddenly go through unless it's starved of oxygen, in which case you'll get a fireball. But smoke will pour through an open door and very quickly make that next compartment uninhabitable unless you're on breathing apparatus.
And that
yeah.
Is that similar in submarines? I got to ask, because the reason I ask about submarines is because that's probably closer to spaceships, yeah?
Yeah, so exactly that. You need things spread out so that if you do have an issue, a flood, a fire, or, in space, a loss of pressure in one area, you don't want everything to be in one area because it literally is all your eggs in one basket, and that becomes an incredibly hard problem to solve.
Yeah, we know they've been working on that fire propagation stuff, but I wonder if they've been doing the smoke stuff as well. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, they did do the rooms with the atmosphere, which would kind of be like smoke stuff.
Yes.
So,
We'll see.
but it'd be nice to see them do both, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Here's another look at the landing gear 2 weeks on with improved...
Jeez, okay, so the first time we saw that, I thought that was tiny, but that's huge. That's really big. Wow, okay.
Animation and detail. And perhaps most excitingly, this sprint was where the wings were attached to the finished nacelles, necessitating 2 separate attachment and transformation systems for each side due to the asymmetrical nature of the ship, which you can see here with these little doors that open to allow folding up and then close down flat when extended for maximum aerodynamics. You may also notice the thruster flaps are being made to extend and contract to adjust the amount of force being exerted. Gotta love that Drake functionality. So feedback during...
So I'm going to say right here, I actually picked up a CCU for this during the week, just because I have a real thing for asymmetric ships. So, and I managed to get a Dragonfly referral, thanks to a friend. So I'm probably going to turn that Dragonfly into a Corsair, but we'll see.
I'll be honest, I actually think the Corsair is probably one of the better Drake ships in terms of, I think, functionality, in terms of the goals of what it can do. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how good a proper explorer is. I know a lot of people see it as exploring the inside of other people's ships, but I'd have thought if you wanted that, you'd have wanted a higher crew count. And for that, I'd have gone more for a Connie-style bunk bed with extra bunks rather than cabins. So I kind of feel it doesn't lend itself as much for that exploring interiors of ships.
Just the turrets. I don't understand why they haven't shown off the turrets more, but I guess we'll see in the final form. So yeah.
This sprint was to put...
Actually, Badges, I'll ask you why you're here, because you're military. Do you think the turrets hold it back as much as me and Algared kind of talk about, or do you think it's...
Potentially. But I think we need to see kind of what articulation they've got in terms of, whether they, like you say, whether they extend, whether they detach, whether, what it is that they do, or whether they are fixed in the same method that a Javelin or a Polaris seem to be.
Do you remember the original concept was like salvoing sideways, which just seems ludicrous? And like, I don't know if you think about it, but there's no ship in the game that kind of shoots sideways like that besides the Javelin. But the Javelin moves a lot slower. So if this thing's moving slow, then it's just basically a target. And in all the shots, it shows all this gunfire firing forward. It doesn't show off the salvo stuff in any of the concept art. It's really strange. So yeah.
Yeah, and when you look...
Sorry,
go on.
I could see the Pisces potentially doing a lot of shooting sideways. Because I think that's going to be the best way to keep both turrets on at all times. But
agreed.
Yeah, I think for most ships it doesn't make sense. I think, for the Perseus, that is going to happen because of all the ships out there, it closely resembles in placement traditional battleships.
Apparently, someone said keep watching. There's 4 turrets, so maybe there is some stuff on the turret. So let's.
But the other thing that
go ahead
gets me with the idea of broadsides. Broadsides went out of favour with battleships and ships of a line when turrets came along, because you could actually rotate your guns to face front and side. When you compare a single turret that can only fire to the side against, say, the Javelin, which has got a whole series of guns that fire to the side, you've got a real broadside. Whereas just one turret that's doing that doesn't really give you a broadside.
Push for a great
absolutely.
Greater diversity between the attached sensor rods from the concept and the mounted weapons on the wings, with additional considerations regarding the front-loading hangars on planets and stations and the potential adjustments that may need to be made to the wings. And, well, we're just going to have to see how those things progress over the next few sprints. And
I did actually notice that the sensor used to be almost right up against the ship. It's now right out on the far end of the wing. I don't know if you picked. Yeah. This looks very exciting. SRV. Let's have a look.
While we're on the multi-sprint look at spaceships, let's check in with a little tugboat that could, the Argo SRV, which entered gray box phase with 1 artist on the exterior and 1 on the interior, and those eagle-eyed viewers may notice that the ship has grown just a little bit in the cockpit area to allow for the enter-exit animations from the pilot seat. And while we're in here, let's take a look at the early gray box phase of the inside.
That's really halfway between the mole and the MPUV, yeah? The
It does look a bit like it, yeah.
Yeah, I do like the dice too, but yeah.
Yeah,
we
you
need
can see
to be
here
able to
that
get them. We need to be able to buy those and put them in our ships.
I think that will be a thing in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I know they talked about that. And even the last subscriber fair, the little flags, they were actually things to be able to put on the dashboard of our ships, apparently. So,
Stafford taking craft from the raft, especially in the aft, because we're not daft. I should stop this graft before I get the shaft, because no one laughed. And then 2 sprints later, we can see the SRV much farther along in gray box phase, getting all the main shapes in, beginning the discovery of material breakup, and really just...
That's changed drastically. That seems so different from the concept.
I wonder how solid that central forward leg is going to be in terms of supporting the ship. It kind of feels Connie-like.
It's really weird. It's kind of got like the engines are like almost like raft engines but shorter, and then they almost look like mole engines. It's really weird. Yeah, it's got a hybrid of that SRV raft mole. Like it's kind of cool in a way. Like it's a bit of everything. So yeah.
Just refining the entire model overall.
Oh wait, there's 3 on each side. Holy shit. Okay, so that's changed heaps because it only had 2, didn't it?
Yeah, it used to have. I think the back ones used to feel bigger. I could be remembering it wrong, but I thought the back ones were bigger and the front ones were smaller.
I remember them being like a long arm, almost like the freelance engines. So yeah, that's different.
Yeah, you could say it's enough to make one shaft. I'm sorry, I have a problem. To make up for that, here are some follow-up images of the Banu Merchantman from the same time as our Alien Week segment back in June. Mostly to showcase how important having the right FOV on your camera is in avoiding duckbill platypus face. Same ship, correct FOV. Sorry, Ben. And moving from ship to ship.
That was remember I had that weird camera angle and everyone was
yeah. No, but still, what's wrong with a duckbill platypus? Nothing. Duckbill platypus is awesome. Sorry, just an Australian thing.
No, it's fine. Interesting icons. Here we go.
Does that mean everyone's going to stop whinging about the BMM? No, but at least it kind of vindicated what we said. She's still a pretty ship. Calm your tits.
Yeah, I just can't believe people didn't know camera angles a thing, but yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Feature news, you can see here the first iteration of the vehicle's salvage HUD for the upcoming Vulture, Reclaimer, and more. Now on the left are all the details that are target relevant. The remaining surface area, your remaining cargo space and extraction rate. And on the right, things like type of nozzle, cutter, and tractor, the various attributes you'll need to manage, and present range.
All right, let's have a quick look at this. All right, so
Just at first glance, very mining type.
Yeah, it's
info.
very similar. So it's got salvage tool name, cutter tool name. Oh, it doesn't have that. So that's where the names of that particular module would go. Okay. Size, the speed, efficiency, the temperature. Oh yeah, because you've got extracting different materials probably need a different temperature.
And different temperature of the materials. If you do it too hot,
and the rate
not
that
hot
you
enough.
extract it at as well. Okay, interesting. Okay, we're starting to get a sense of how that's going to be. But yeah, it does feel very miney at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see. I do hope they do a preview of it. Oh, you got to imagine they're going to do a preview of it on ISC at some point. Yeah.
And then you can see their first, still early implementation in engine, as seen here on the Vulture, and then on the turret from a Reclaimer. Now for how all this works, what the final implementation looks like with a full UI and VFX, and with the internal functionality that...
That's another thing, Algared. Remember how they said that they'll be giving us a Vulture as a loaner? But now I think because they're putting on the turret of the Reclaimer, I don't think we'll get the Vulture loaner anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it will mean the Reclaimer's actually got functionality.
Yeah, but how annoying is it going to be to drag that thing out to do it? Because it's so big and it only does the hull stripping, so we'll have to wait and see.
Ends with a nice...
On the other side, the cargo capacity is going to be massive, so you could be out there doing a lot longer than you could on the Vulture with.
Yeah, we'll see.
This crate of materials that you can sell or trade, well, there's still some time between now and the release of Alpha 3.18, so you can expect to see more as we get closer to release. And as a neat bonus, work on the gimbal system for hull scraping has led to new technology that may eventually change the way all gimbals work. What you're seeing here is variable drag and speed based on size and weight, both for the gimbal itself and the item attached to it. What this ultimately means is more customization for players, allowing for faster, smoother gimbals with smaller, lighter items and weapons, and a potential removal of the size restriction for weapons on gimbals, letting players one day use them with weapons of a hardpoint's maximum size.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That'll change turrets completely. Wow.
It would change gimbals completely.
Well, so essentially, if I'm hearing that correctly, right, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, if you have bigger guns, the turret will move slower. That's what I just heard. Yeah?
Yep. So if you had a size 5 gimbal on a size mount, and you were able to put a size 5 on it, it'd be really slow. Put a size 1 on it, like grease lightning.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Did he just hint at another salvage ship? Hang on.
Yeah, because he said...
whereabouts? How far back?
When he was talking about the lasers, the mining lasers of stripping lasers, he said on the Vulture, Reclaimer, and more.
Hang on. Yeah. Hang on.
Their first, still early implementation in engine, as seen here on the Vulture, and then on the turret from a Reclaimer. Now for how all this works, what the final implementation looks like...
Sorry, did you say it was before
It was a bit earlier than that, because he actually said...
Hang on, I'll go... That's animation, man. That's iconography. So this is literally...
He talks about the upcoming HUD on the Vulture, Reclaimer, and more, is what he said.
Let me listen.
Sorry, Ben. And moving from ship to ship feature news, you can see here the first iteration of the vehicle salvage HUD for the upcoming Vulture, Reclaimer, and more.
Maybe actually, it does make a lot of sense, Algared, now, because think about how the raft came out to try and coincide with the cargo. Maybe that new ship at...
Maybe the new ship is another salvage ship.
Yeah, I didn't even consider that. All right, so we're back up here somewhere.
Faster, smoother gimbals with smaller, lighter items and weapons, and a potential removal of the size restriction for weapons on gimbals, letting players one day use them with weapons of a hardpoint's maximum size, with the requisite trade-off in drag and speed. It's a great example of work for one system potentially leading to improvements in another. And then, in preparation of one of the biggest Life in the Verse changes coming sometime next year, the Hammerhead just had a sprint retrofitting it with internal power relays, a necessary component of the resource management system that is at the center of everything from engineering gameplay, life support, increased time to kill, on-site repair, and the foundational basis for true multi-crew gameplay. Now, there's still quite a journey ahead for resource management, but it's exciting to see the work beginning to get integrated into the persistent universe proper. Now, of course,
that ties in with what we're talking about, I think, in terms of the spreading out of the components as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But very strongly so as well. So.
Well, yeah, resource nodes are a little different, but yeah, close enough. Yeah.
Those are just the updates on the ships that we can currently tell you about ahead of CitizenCon and IAE on this special Showdown Sprint Report. But maybe you're asking yourself, hey, Jared, Ship Showdown 2952 doesn't start for another 4 days. Surely you've got something more than spaceships to show us. Well, it's still a little bit early, but I suppose we can tease this look at recent tests of the UI card system, a brand new way to take building blocks and display it dynamically and diegetically throughout the persistent universe in Squadron 42. Just don't tell anyone.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome.
Nice.
What a fucking step up. What a step up. Holy shit.
That is so much better than the current maybe ghastly thing. And that's clearly in the hangar where you're readjusting your ship. But
I don't know if you realise, boys, but that's literally out of the concept image that we saw like way back when. Yeah. And think about all that stuff now. Like, like I'm thinking of the Sentinel when they're talking about the VR kind of cockpit and all that stuff. That's all just gravy now. Because like if we're all getting shit like that, like wow, that's amazing.
And just look at some of those filters, like the fact that you can do what's equipped, what's damaged, what's
rented.
You know, all local. Of those rented, gifted, or whatever, and local, or and then even breaking it down to guns, thrusters, weapons, or missiles, and other components. So you can actually have everything showing, or you can actually say, no, I just want to look at the guns that are going to fit, or the what components are damaged, so I can replace them or fix them. So that's huge.
And they're all animated.
Yeah.
They all like I'll just go back a sec. Watch that again. They're all animated. And it's so smooth compared to the shit we got now.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that the Corsair, asymmetrical explorer from Drake, is making pretty solid progress through the ship pipeline. That ongoing work on salvage and hull scraping may yet lead to positive changes for the combat experience through gimbal improvements. That work is already underway retrofitting some of our ships for the enormous change resource management will bring later next year. That FOV is super important if you don't want 36 duck memes of the Banu Merchantman. And that Ship Showdown 2952 begins this Monday, and it's your chance to decide the best of the best over the following month. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee, here inside the performance capture stage, where characters from Star Citizen and Squadron 42 will be brought to life by tremendous performers as time goes on. We'll see you all here next week.
A stretch goal lives.
Let me do a couple gestures. Like,
Veritan said my PC will melt with the UA like that, I feel. Actually, it's kind of a lot more optimized. That's kind of what it is. Like, if you think of what we've got in game right now, that's basically the really big change is the optimization. All right, flicking you boys back over.
Well, the key thing there was also that it wasn't the Mobileglass doing it. It was he went to a position in the hangar, and then from the hangar he was doing those changes. And so, yeah, that to me that felt more realistic rather than pulling out my Mobileglass and going, oh yeah.
It definitely feels a lot more futuristic.
Mm.
And I would kind of hope a smaller version of that would make its way onto the Mobileglass.
To be able to do, you know, the smaller things like, you know, reloading or I don't know, but yeah.
I'm going to need to go into the comlink to find this now because it's actually, was it the monthly report? I think it was the monthly report. Hang on, I'll go back. Where's this one? So I'm going to flick us over to the browser real quick. No, I went to the wrong one. Damn it.
You went to Squadron 42 version.
Yeah, I've got to find the right one. And once it goes off the front page, it's a needle in a haystack. Nope. There we go. This is it. Right, so this is what the title of this video is from. Right, and if I go Control F and go right, so this is what I wanted to go through with you guys. So development of an unannounced ship continued, which is currently moving from grey box to final art. July saw the grey box pass complete on the cockpit, dashboard, habitation, and cargo hold. The team also progressed to the exterior hull to final art. Now, when I first read this, because of the way it says habitation and cargo, I thought, well, this is probably a cargo ship to go along with the cargo refractor. But with what you just said before, Algared, I'm now thinking it could also be a salvage ship.
Yep. Yeah, it could very easily be a large or medium salvage ship, given that the Vulture's small and the Reclaimer's capital. So,
there's definitely room there for two more. And I think with it just makes so much sense to have a ship to sell with salvage. Like it really makes a lot of sense.
Especially if they've actually got, you know, a tool that it can use, and if they're putting that hull scraping on the Reclaimer, you've got to assume it'd be on the medium or the large ship, you know, the ones in between.
Yeah.
As well. So
100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree. What about you, Badges? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, possibly.
Because this is the next one I'm going to ask. Because now it'll probably change what you think of this next bit as well. Because it says the final art pass on an unannounced ground vehicle was finalised. The artists then move on to a pass with the Miss Coal Sea. So if they're doing ground vehicles, are they going to do salvage ground vehicles as well? You'd have to think they're going to, yeah. But then,
yeah, that would be my bet for it.
Yeah. So generally, whatever they're doing, they kind of make vehicles or ships based on that stuff. So I would say it's either cargo or salvage, both of those.
A rock salvage vehicle.
The strip, because it's a paint stripper.
But I suppose the question becomes: is a salvage ground vehicle literally just a rock with a different nozzle?
It could be. And then the last one here, this is the one that me and Algared are hoping it's something we think it is, but I'll explain this in a minute. But it says the white box pass began on an unannounced variant of an existing ship with modifications to the exterior nearing completion. Now, before I mention what I'm going to mention, that Algared knows I'm going to mention, is Paul actually also said there's a lot of people been pushing for a Terrapin variant, like an Explorer variant of the Terrapin, right? So I won't take that off the cards either. But in the code, Piggles found reference to a C8R Pisces. So instead of a C8X, it was a C8R. Now, whatever R stands for, research, rescue, whatever. He also said there were tags.
Racing.
Well, yeah. He also said there were tags related to cargo, which was really interesting because I'd almost argue the default Pisces is the cargo variant if you've seen the earlier concepts. Because what Algared and I were hoping it was the one that put the scanner back in. So I'll let you talk about that, Algared, if you want, just a little bit.
Yeah, so we both remember, you know, some of the very early kind of concept art for the C8X. So it was never said it was going to be, but it was kind of the ideas they had. And one of the ideas was it had a scanning suite, so you could actually send it off and do scouting or scanning, you know, send it through a jump point. And do scanning and bring it back and have the stuff, or send it away from your mothership and do scanning and bring it back and then analyze the detail. But at the moment, it doesn't really have the ability to do that. It's got extra cargo, it's got extra crew seats, and so we were kind of when it came out with the 4 SU of cargo, it's great. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful little ship. But for me, if we've got a component or an add-in that we could put into that ship that increased its versatility, for me, that would put me, as much as I want the PTV to be the the hero of the ship showdown this year, for all the reasons that Execute and Paul went into in the last video. So you need to go watch that if you haven't watched it. For me, that'd put the C8X kind of up there.
Yeah, I do kind of hope that they kind of have it like you can just put scanner stations into a cargo hold, or like a you go what's a military bed? Do they just call it like a, what do they call that? Like not a bunk, like just a
rack.
Yeah, you know, like the little stand-up ones badges. You know what I'm talking about? Like they fold out and they just got like a. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, they're just camp beds. They're like metal framed. Yeah, camp beds.
Can you imagine the Pisces if you could chuck a scanner and a bed in that thing? Like it would totally change. Like it essentially is like a module for a Pisces. That would make that one of the best ships in the game.
Chat's going a little bit mental. X, can you go back to the timestamp 925 on ISC?
925.
Yeah. It's the Argo.
Yeah.
Argo cargo. Look at what's on the roof. Chat's picked this up.
Oh, the stripper. Oh, Algared, they added it back. Wow.
That's
what they said.
This up a little while ago, and Chat's gone pretty ballistic about it.
I just realised too. That's a skin. That's the Squadron 42 skin.
And maybe, given the VAT's there, that maybe it is actually an Argo variant, but.
I've got to ask, where do you think that would sit? I'd have to say it's got to be under the Vulture, surely.
First mentioned by Zyka Data in chat.
Yeah, nice spot there, man. Nice
seen
spot.
that MPVU with the mining arm that we data mined last year. I'm not sure I don't know if it's a mining arm, but yes, certainly.
Yeah.
Mining arm or an articulated arm, but yes, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was, the last time we talked about this was way back when we did it would have been a year ago when we did
when we did the ship scrutiny on the Argo.
Yeah, because people thought we were crazy when we did that, right? Because we thought we'd do it for the memes. But this generally is a really thought out, complex ship. And we went way back to the concepts. And yeah, as Badger said, that's a mining arm. And at the time, we kind of theorized it was to collect quantanium for, say, an Idris that was kind of stuck. You know, that you would need that.
So I'm merely giggling because the question you asked me about military small, you've literally got people in bed in chat saying cot, and then you've got rack, bunk, whack shack.
Well, a cot, yeah, it is a cot. That's what I'm thinking of. And I actually, sorry, I said salvage arm. I did mean to say mining arm. So there are people saying about the salvage arm there, but I meant mining. Sorry, I had salvage on the brain.
If you went back to the original documents and concept for the Argo, that arm was an articulate. It was an arm for it had a gripper, it had a cutter. The idea was it was basically for helping extract crew that were trapped in their air fighters, so it was the salvage recovery vehicle. But they talked about it having other attachments because it is a utility vehicle. Utility vehicles have that versatility, and so it's easier to put on a weapon mount than it is to.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in and answer a question now because I'm not. Unfortunately, my apologies, but I won't be on the entire stream. So, Steps TV says maybe Badgers knows something about this. The Argo cargo in that shot has the mining arm leaked a long time ago. Why would the military need that arm? Is it a mining arm in the first place? Mining arm, I'm not convinced it needs a mining arm. I don't doubt for a second that's what they found. But I don't know I suppose there could be an argument that maybe it does the same quantanium thing, but then again, what would it do with the quantanium once it's recovered it? But certainly, as Algared's already said, for recovery, for tractor beam, for cutting, for even things like, being able to salvage functional systems off of fighters that are otherwise destroyed. So, picking up salvageable components and stuff like that, that would make sense.
Just real quick, we've got a super chat from Walkerbait who says, should I CCU my Scorpius into an MSR? And my answer would be yes. Algared,
Yeah, if you're after a ship that can do a lot of things, the MSR is a great ship. It is a ship you can fly solo. It's multi-crew.
Not the Scorpius is bad, it's just overpriced.
Yep.
So if you're looking more bang for buck, the MSR, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're after that bang for buck option, then the Scorpius is not the ship.
But don't rule out other daily drivers in that area too. Even the upcoming Corsair will probably jump in price and go above the Scorpius. So if you're a fan of the Scorpius, the Corsair, you could wait for that. You've got the Caterpillar, you got the Connie. Have a look and see what really appeals to you. So yeah, and
certainly don't hear us in saying that the Scorpius is bad.
Yeah,
I don't know about X. I'm pretty certain X is in the same opinion as me, and I'm sure Badgers would agree. I love.
We had a lot.
It's a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun because we brought the one for the giveaway, and me and Algared just flew around it for a week and tried it all out. All right, real quick. So what I've brought up here on the screen is the old ship scrutiny. That's the original concept video that I think Teller did this one. So he extracted the Argo MPVU, but you can see there. If I full screen it for just a second, it'll look a bit weird with me and Algared down the bottom twice. But yeah, you can see there's clearly something on the front cab there. And that they were, mining arms. And yeah, literally, if you go back now to this, you can see it's got the same thing. So that's a really good spot. Who was the chat guy that found that again?
Zycadita, I believe.
Yeah, I'll call him out again because that's a really good
apologies
spot.
Apologies Zycadita if I'm butchering the pronunciation of your name, but yeah, good spot. Good spot.
Yeah, really, really good spot.
Yeah, I'd say to Zycadita.
Zycadita. Yeah, so yeah, cool.
Yeah, but that could also be just based on that could actually be the variant of a much loved ship or a popular ship.
It could be as well. Well, it's very popular after last year, so yeah, we could be completely wrong. I do want to add to just what you're saying about when we were talking about the C8R. Someone in chat, in one of the questions, Michael Wheeler says Pisces R3 research, recovery, and recon. Recon sounds like a winner to me. If it's going along the lines of what you and I were saying, Algared, because we've said for years that Pisces got to be the wormhole navigation ship for the small. Because how do you get a carrack through a small jump point? You can't. So it has to have a small ship on it that can go through. So. But
then there is also that view that we've talked about in terms of jump points in the past that. Small, medium, and large are not size orientated, but actually stability orientated. So, but there's that as well.
Everyone keeps going racing still, but you've got to we talked about that Pisces for years, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
And it just makes so much logical sense that if it's an explorer that's can find wormholes, then how do you get through it? Logically, you've got to have a small ship that goes through, right? And as soon as you do that, it's got to have some kind of scanners on it. And they even had in the original concept, but they removed it for the cargo because it was probably
more usable
for marketing. But eventually, that scanner's got to go back in at least a variant or some shape or form. Can I just read this real quick? Walker Bait says again for another super chat. Thank you. Sorry to change the subject. No, it's totally fine, man. Anytime.
There's no need to do that. And hey, look, there is actually, as much as we love those super chats, they're awesome and we appreciate them all. You put a question in, we will answer it. We may not get to it right away, but we will answer it.
If you want to answer it right away, that's how you do it with a super chat. But if you're happy to wait, just chuck a question in chat and we'll get to it.
And we will answer it.
Yeah. All right. Were you going to say something, Badges, or was it just me? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, regarding the R3, I really like what Michael Wheeler said about there being 3 Rs as part of that. That makes a lot of sense. I would almost suggest that there's 2 from that, and I wonder whether it's research recon makes sense for me. Maybe not recovery so much, or not recovery in the sense that I'm going to go get pilots or I'm going to go get ruined equipment back. Maybe what it turns as recovery is what you said, X, which is recovering back through a small wormhole to the Carrack.
Kind of like recovering.
Because if you think about
recovery sorry to interrupt, but do you mean like recovery of data?
As in recovery of itself back through a wormhole, because it's plotted the jump one way. So you would expect now it needs a jump drive. It needs, a more potentially more computer space. They might want to give it slightly larger shields or more powerful shields because of the situation that it's in. So all of that to me would suggest less room in the back, which is not what you would want if you were going to go into traditional recovery or rescue or any of that sort of stuff. You're going to want potentially a bigger scanner in there. So yes, I like the idea that it's R3, research, recon, and potentially recovery in the method we've just described.
Well, when me and Algared originally talked about it, this is back in the day when not all ships had jump drives, right? And they had a jump drive, and there was, what were the two drives out? There was two separate ones. There was like a jump drive, and there was like a quantum drive. So one allowed you to jump in a system, and one allowed you to go through the jump points, right? And so we assumed that this didn't have the one that allowed you to jump in system, but it did have the one that allowed you to jump through the jump point. Now they seem to have changed it a fair bit in law. Algared, you can probably speak to this more than me.
Yeah, so, the big change, I think, was that they made rather than having a separate jump drive and separate quantum drive, they made it that the jump was kind of a plug-in on the quantum drive. So you put in that plug and it kind of enables your quantum drive to do the jumps. So that was a change.
And the
Pisces
is growing quite a lot too. Like we were originally thinking of it like a Merlin or an Archimedes snub, weren't we, back in the day? So
back in the day, yeah. And it, and so a bit like the 85X went, it was kind of, if it was at that size, you'd kind of expect that. But when it came out and they said, oh yeah, and it's a quantum capable ship, it was like, wow, because it basically was a full ship in itself, and it really is a starter ship.
Yeah.
And it was good to see them make it a starter ship and make it available as a starter ship, because it really does fit that size capability.
No, it does. On a really quick note, Algared's actually deployed a fix on his camera today, and it seems to be working. And incredibly, it was $16. So hopefully, I've ordered one, and hopefully, next week, hopefully.
It seems to have been stopping me freeze as I jump between. When I've jumped between programs, because that's where I usually freeze.
Yeah. So what it actually turned out to be is there's this little HDMI to USB adapter made by Elgato, and they cost like $200 normally. And it's just been stuffing up because it was really weird that we were both getting it. And so that's basically what's been causing it. And so basically, like a Chinese knockoff one that you can buy on Amazon for $16 apparently fixes it. So that's crazy to think.
Yeah. So hopefully that's
this will be the last time you see me turning off and on. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So I let Algared get one first because he got it quicker than me because he lives in the capital city.
Like it takes me 2 days, from.
It takes me about a week. So
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'm going to jump into the game, and we'll kick it off into questions. Again, once we run out of questions, we tend to wrap this up, but usually we get so many questions we can't go through them all. So if you have a question or even something you just want to talk about, I think we can extend it to that. But if this is something you want to talk about or a topic, chuck that in there too. But as long as you've got a question in somewhere in your message.
Yeah, if you want us to talk about an 85X or a Corsair, just say, hey, what do you think of?
Yeah. So again, if you just have questions somewhere in what you're talking about, our bot will pull it out of chat and it puts it up into a Discord channel, and we just read them directly out of that. So that way, if you do it, 20 minutes ago, it'll still be there and stored. So that's why we do it that way. So All right, I'm gonna close this browser down.
Yeah, and that our little bot does keep them in memory. It does mean we will get to every single question you ask. So and sometimes we've even, when we've had so many questions, we have actually gone back and done a kind of a quick jab of questions and answers and then posted them up for us. So
on the community tab,
yeah.
Actually, before I kick it off into the game, Badges, do you want to talk about the video because you did your own video this week? First one you've done in a year?
Yeah, so I did a quick one covering the letter from the chairman, the first communication we had from Chris in a couple of years or a year. And then I did one just on Orison.
Just on the
Siege of Orison. It's formatted like an after-action report. So what went well, what they need to keep doing, what didn't go so well, what they need to change, and I think the unique thing of that video was that it approached that whole thing from the point of view of separating out what went wrong with Siege into two piles. And the first pile, the most important pile, is what is specific to Siege. So we all know that, the AI can be janky, it can glitch around. These aren't problems that they are gonna, that you can solve by, fixing Siege. These are AI problems and server tick rate problems and all that sort of stuff. But there were things specific to Siege as well. One of the things I do want to go back on is I was playing Siege again a little bit today before I went out, and we actually found a side mission.
Really?
So there are side missions. It was very similar to the one that is done in the 890 jump boarding in progress mission. I didn't see it completed or triggered, but what we got was them saying they're starting a data upload, taking some of Crusader's data. We need you to stop it as quickly as you can. It was stopped maybe a minute later, and I think I'm pretty sure we got about 200k for stopping it.
Oh yeah, actually, I did see that. I saw that with I was with Croncy, and I was playing with Croncy, and it does get about 200k. And it was is that near the admin?
Sorry,
it was near admin, yeah. It was right near the end.
For us, it was right on the first platform.
Oh, really? For us, it was at the end. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so it's definitely random then. Okay, that's cool.
I have also heard the kind of a voiceover of someone saying, "Help me," that type of thing. So, but I haven't found out how to go from there. Yeah. But there is certainly seems to be others. But yeah.
Yes. And I appreciate that I am slow to the party on Siege of Orison feedback. I get that there are loads of people out there who have already done it, and so people are probably sick to the back teeth. However, just after Christmas, I upgraded my GPU, so now I'm able to record in more than 14 frames a second, which nobody wants to watch, which is why my videos previously were just B-roll. They were just recorded CIG footage. And I've been learning new editing techniques. So if people are happy to go and give me some feedback from the editing and the footage that I used and all that sort of stuff, that would be most welcome.
So
because, of course, only people have time.
No more crayon?
No more crayon. No more Windows Movie Maker for me, boys. Yeah. It's something.
But you did use your own footage, didn't you? It was footage you'd actually taken yourself.
Yeah. A disproportionate amount of time went into it, but most of that was learning new tools. It was learning cool new ways of doing things. So, let me know. Is it under-engineered? Is it over-engineered? Does it work? Does it not work?
And the other thing that I think makes it a good video, even though, as you said, others have done Siege of Origin, positives and minuses to the cows come home.
Mm-hmm.
I think with your military background, that after-action report of really looking at, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, how could we improve it, and taking out the janky AI due to lack of optimization, I think is actually better than most that I've seen. So if you haven't watched it, seriously, click that link after the live stream and watch that video from Badges, because it is actually a quality review of Siege of Orison, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And
Badges.
you did
Oh,
edit.
shucks, guys.
You did edit it very well too. I liked all the little.
Thank you.
Yeah, you went into quite a lot of detail. So we're gonna suck you in to edit all the info. No. No, but yeah. If we ever need anything edited, we know now know who to ask.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
editor.
Boys, I am barely editing my own stuff. The chance of me doing it for anyone else is less than 0.
Yeah.
Oh dear, it is a time-consuming and
Badges.
Yeah.
We're an info runner. It's not other people's stuff.
It feels
stuff.
like it when I'm editing it. No,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That's me told.
All right. It looks like I'll be able to do the Siege of Orison here, so I'll probably get slaughtered horribly, and everyone will have a good laugh.
So all people need to know for this next comment is that someone who's one of our moderators, gave me a load of help, feedback, and basically, for better or worse, exposed himself to the painful processes I put myself through when I edit videos. And he just messaged me and said, turnaround time 3 to 4 business weeks. So fuck off, Cam. Thanks very much, mate.
All right, so shall we start some of the questions that we've gathered so far? So don't forget, if you've got a question, make sure you put question in brackets, or even just have question in the phrase, and our bot will pick it up and shove it out for us to be able to pick it up. And on that note, question 1 is from Red Cloud. Red Cloud says, SRV has a very wide cockpit. You think the Vulture needs more space, especially with the exit door beside the cockpit?
Not so much. Hang on. Oh, another.
So what are your thoughts? Badges?
Well, we haven't really seen the.
The shuttle is preparing to depart.
Need to see the gameplay before we can comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume myself it'll be bigger, but
I think it's horses for courses, right? So it's 2 different purposes. So the Vulture is going to be very much front focused. You have those extending arms from within you have extending work arms from within those 2 yellow arms that are in front. That's where it's going to be working. That's where it's going to be looking. My peripheral vision in that case is not required to be that good. Do you see what I mean? On an SRV, when you are potentially maneuvering a vessel in very close proximity to other vessels, you are going to need all-round visibility, very big windows, all that sort of stuff. To the point where in real tugs, in real towing vehicles, there are the bridge is a mirror image of itself. So the person on the bridge can drive facing forward relative to the tug. They can also spin round and drive backward with exactly the same controls. And most of them will drive the ship backward because for them it's more important to be looking at what they're towing. And then basically, they've got these chairs where they can swivel around and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't think the Vulture's going to be handicapped by having a smaller cockpit. But the SRV definitely needs a big one.
Yeah.
But I think having a wider cockpit just for the animation of being able to get in and out is a valid one. But I think the Aurora's probably got one of the smallest spaces for getting in and out of the cockpit, and the animation works fine. So I
think that's going to end up being a very unique cockpit. Because we haven't seen that we haven't seen that animation in any other ship yet. So I do think it's one they need to use again. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, but I think as long as the character can get in and out of the ship, as long as the animations work, that's the smallest that possible is what they'll need. And so they build the cockpits for the purpose they need, and they make sure the animation works for that. So,
I'm going to die horribly here because I'm doing this solo, but we'll see what happens. So,
yeah, last time I did a solo, I got shot by AI that popped up behind me.
Someone in chat, have they extended it? I thought you only had like another 20 minutes to
Oh, really? Well, it's going to be very brief. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Go in there, yeah.
Okay, so Michael Wheeler has a question for us. He says, upcoming HUD for Vulture, Reclaimer, and we've talked about that one. Yes, we do think he did hint at another salvage ship, Sean Solo. It looks to show a restricted zone around a ship. So does that mean crime stats for sneaking onto ships?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, that could have been a mission thing. That could be, don't set foot on someone else's ship. I guess something like that is going to be necessary because later on, without armistice zones and stuff, you can run around with blasting charges all you want. So, yes, there's every possibility that people could go and attach something nasty or tricky to the outside of your ship. And I'm sure people will be able to do things later on, like maybe attach tracking devices or all sorts of nasties. So, yeah, I think I don't approach someone else. It's like a car, right? You park your car up. It would be exceptionally weird if other people would just stood around it in the car park. It would certainly, it's not something you'd arrest anyone for, but it would certainly, people would be like, "What are you up to?" Sorry, I'm just waiting for X to get shot.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was waiting for. He's going to get shot soon.
Friends like you two, who needs enemies? Jesus.
Do you want me to log in and come and rescue you just in case? Oh, there's going to be someone in that
Hang on,
lift in front
someone
of you.
just talk. Somebody, hello? Someone here? Need help?
Yeah, I'm up on the awning, up on the right.
You're up where? Sorry, bro. Oh,
he's up
35
top
meters.
there.
You're up top. Coming.
If you go, you're going to need to go back right, I think, here, X. Yeah, go all the way down to the end. Almost to the steps down to the shuttle, and then jump up to your left.
So our next question.
Wait, I'm going to see if I can get this guy to talk about Inforunners. It'll be funny. Just
See if he recognises you.
Yeah.
If he recognises you, you're going to have to put him down.
Yeah. No.
So
First rule of Inforunners is you don't talk about Inforunners.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if he doesn't put him down, if he doesn't recognise him and talk about him for runners, you've got to put him down because clearly he hasn't watched our channel.
Have you got medical
That's
stuff,
naughty.
X?
Okay, sorry. I don't advocate putting anyone down.
Hang on. Let me talk to him. Right, dude. Have you heard of the YouTube channel called Inforunners?
Oh my god.
Can't say that I have.
Well, you're on a live stream now with like 120 people, and yeah, it's all good. I'm gonna get you up.
Stab him.
Trying to.
Stab her. Stab them.
Is it right mouse? Yeah, I'm clicking right mouse, but it's not. There we go.
Wow.
There you go, buddy.
That's a bit
Take
laggy.
your gun back. What'd you drop your gun? Wait, are you dressed like a Ninetales, X?
He is. He's dressed like a dirty, scummy Ninetales.
I can't even.
I know. It's disgusting, isn't it?
The amount of Ninetales I've that I've shot that turn out to be not Ninetales, but people running around without friendly markers on them in Ninetales gear is frankly depressing.
You're good, bud?
X, you can continue down there and bypass that first choke point. You can just keep running down the grass.
I am now.
Do you want
So-
to stay together? Because I'm going solo, so if you want to come with me, you might as well go together, huh?
Got more Ninetales inbound. You need to
Well, I've been
focus on shutting
covering
down
all
the
the
main
people
AV
coming in.
systems.
Just
Roger.
press ganged into the Inforunners infantry. You
Yeah.
come with me.
Cargo barge and engage.
You gotta stick together at times. So yeah, in terms of that restriction around that ship, it did look like it was. It could be, added security to our ships down the line.
Do you reckon I should go to Heartmore, or do you reckon I should go up and go to Brushwood?
I would press. Well, I mean, I'd go to Heartmore. If the shuttle's active, it means they've got that far properly.
So the next question is from Antoine. and one says, is it me or is there more new type of comment on the UI demo?
I think... there you go. He's asked the same question again. Or they have asked the same question again below. So, is it me, or is there a new, more type of customizable components on that UI demo?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Yep. So, it looked like, well, it was hard to say because it seemed to have all the components available at that time. So, I think it was certainly a different arrangement of the components. One of my problems with using the Mobiglass is you list them and it's just a scroll of the components you've got, and you can't always see what you need. That seemed to make it more visually a better visual presentation of those components. So
yeah, it might be customizable relays, Fishy. What I'm thinking though, looking at some of the filters that Algared pointed out, which were things like damaged, and unserviceable, stuff like that. That might be another reason for them to be in there. But yeah, I mean, this is low key going to be a massive change for the way ships work.
Yeah,
when it hits, this is going to be seriously big.
Yeah, sometimes it really is one of those things where there's so many things that come out and people, oh yeah, but I don't think we really ever realise how much of an impact it will have. Like, and it's the same with. I always think of it in terms of Pyro. You know, people are, oh yeah, Pyro, but Pyro is massive compared to Stanton. It's going to change the way we look at the world, and as more systems come on, you know, people forget. As big as Stanton is tiny compared to everything else. And I so, you know, so changes there will have an impact. And I think changes in the way components are displayed or the way we can search for them is going to have a major impact on gameplay as well. So, any other thoughts on those, or should we move on, gents?
No, it's impressive and I'm looking forward to it. About time. Like that, the whole UI stuff has been just a really long time coming, and obviously roll this back to Squadron 42. Just like think how much further that's along, because we just don't get this.
You know, the amount of uses that you can think of for that, especially that come and stand in it, semicircle, partial circle, you know, or even like you can turn around and do. You'd imagine this from like the aircraft controller.
Yeah, on that's what I was about to say. Command and control.
Yeah, you know, like the aircraft controller on a Bengal is able to say, okay, on this deck, on the takeoff deck, I've got some ready spots, and I've got this, and I've got some lifts.
Almost wonder if
I want you to move two Gladiusts to those lifts, and I want a Redeemer on that lift, and I want a Terrapin on this lift, and just being able to manipulate those things around you.
Makes me wonder
and then
there are certain ships that won't have MFDs. They'll have something more akin to that. You know, like you said, like a flight controller, like getting ready for departure.
It would be really cool for stuff like the Banu, where you're sitting there and you're actually interacting with the Banu Matchman, where you're interacting with symbols and things in front of you rather than hardwired switches and stuff like that.
I could see it even being really valuable at the dockyards when you're refitting your Endeavour or your Javelin or your Idris or whatever other big ship needs those dockyard refit jobs. So, to me it's huge. It's stuff we want, and it's the thing that I really like is the fact that it's taking it away from the Mobiglass.
Yeah,
because it's
agreed.
There's an element where you want it there, but you don't.
Did you guys see how that shuttle just appeared?
The ship fast and everything.
I think, you know, you're going to see the Mobiglass become very much like that. So it becomes much more transparent. You know, it's not a screen per se, and it's much more. It feels much more attached to your wrist,
more holographic rather than a TV screen. Yeah,
but you can imagine that sort of functionality in the Carrack's map room.
Yeah,
like being able to interact with it as you stand there and walk around, and not necessarily be slaved to the console.
Do you know what I think of? Is Iron Man. You know in the movie Iron Man where he's like actually putting his hand in it and he's like interacting that essentially. If we get to that level where you can kind of like grab things and move them around, so you go, you know, I grab this fleet of ships and I drag and drop, almost Minority Report style, you know, so he just grabs it and puts it somewhere else or whatever. That'd be sick.
And I could see that technology, as Badgers was just hinting at, being used in so many different aspects of the game. So yeah, it's. I think cool. It's those types of things that really do add to coolness factor. So let's see. Moving on, where are the next question? So SA. Realistically,
I think
is Moby Glass dead?
Yeah,
quite an appropriate
it's getting
question to ask.
Getting an upgrade,
even if it was old, but it's getting an upgrade.
New and approved. It does. Isn't it called Mobilglass 2.0 as well? The
there is a
one?
Mobilglass 2.0, but I think it's even more than that. It's the Mobilglass should be the kind of condensed version, I kind of think, for doing ship manipulation, whereas going into the hangar and that's the full manual, not the abridged version. And I think, so I kind of like that. I don't think it's dead, but it's certainly changing its role or giving access to more versatility in other systems and making the other systems or making the hangars feel like they're proper, like you're actually using them rather than, oh, I want to change the guns on my thing, I'll go to my Mobilglass, where that doesn't feel right. You'd expect to do it at a terminal or something rather than on your wrist. Maybe I'm just showing I'm old-fashioned. Okay, so Rash Mordor says, can you guys take a look at the top front of the MPVU? I think that's the variant, and yes, we did, and it is certainly a possibility. And the second it got pointed out by Badgers, I certainly went, oh yeah. That could very well be the variant of a popular ship, because the MPVU is popular.
I think, again, because it's probably, well, it is going to feature pretty heavily in Squadron 42, I think we're likely to see a lot of that functionality again afterward.
That could also be a military version of the Argo cargo.
Yes.
So that we can't get access to. Kind of like how you've got the Hornet C versus A and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Michael Wheeler says, ISC is scripted. In his opinion, the hint, and this was the hint that Jared made about Reclaimer Vulture and others, new ship with salvage makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Really does.
Yeah,
we've seen it again with things like the Raft last year. Every time there's a new gameplay coming up, I would expect there to be a ship there with it. It just increases the sales. New shiny ship, new gameplay mechanic. I need it. You know, I can see that mentality. Sorry.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, just from the point of view of we have ship sizes missing.
And
we have quite a few missing. So.
And in terms of our title, you know, the title was created before we even looked at ship shape. So we don't, when we're doing those, we actually watch them for the first time when we're watching it with you guys. So we actually don't know the content beforehand.
Yes. The reactions are a lot more.
So you actually get a reaction rather than just anything else. So had we watched it, we'd have probably said yes.
Well, you'd say that with other things too. Like we mentioned the remote turret, and then literally 4 seconds later he said, "Yeah, 4 seconds later,
and it's a remote turret."
Yeah. So and that happens a lot. So
yes. So Steps TV's question we asked about the mining. We asked and answered, as with Michael's Wheeler's question about the Pisces R3 research recovery recon. Duncan Simpson asks, argue MPUV first ship with repair, ?
Possibly. Yeah, possible. It was certainly in lore. It was the first
that-
recovery vehicle.
That is definitely possible because the Vulcan needs drones. Actually, I think the first repair is going to be the Crucible. I think you'll just like land in the Scarab and it'll be just like the landing platforms now.
Yeah, could very well be.
Yeah. So guys, I'm gonna head off shortly. What I'd like to do, if I can, is I'm gonna pinch a question from further on because it allows me to jump on my sandbox for 20 minutes.
Go for it. That means you're here for another 20 minutes. Awesome.
And jump up and down. So Toki has asked a bit further on, at what point do they stop adding so much content and start finishing? Everything just seems so spread out across the board. Toki, one of my first videos that really took off that I did some time ago was why Star Citizen's time in development doesn't mean so much, right? But basically what I did was I took Star Citizen and Red Dead Redemption 2 and I compared the two, right? And because this is an easy comparison to make because we have a lot of detail from Rockstar about what that what that development took, how much it cost, how many people were working on the project at any one time. To give you an idea, in its final year, over 1,200 people worked on it. So that is 50% again the size of what CIG have at the moment. There is a lot more detail. Obviously, there's a lot in the games themselves that are different. The reason I wanted to make that comparison is what that doesn't tell you is Rockstar have a lot of studios around the world. I think at the time Red Dead 2 went into full speed development, they had 11. Now they've got like 9. I think they closed a couple down. One of those studios has 600 people in it, and that studio is dedicated to the engine alone.
Come on, no.
Right. So you have a 600 person studio dedicated to nothing but the engine. And what here is the content that's being added. One of the things that's going to be really interesting is we're going to get to the point where this is going to feel like a completed game. In reality, it's going to be about a third, I reckon, and that's just my guess, of the content that's actually going to be in the game. But we are going to start calling for things a lot sooner than it's ready, because, I mean, if you think just about all the professions and stuff they're going to add, how much stuff, is actually going to end up being in the game. The time that this is taking is about technical blockers. It's not just a case of finish the game. At the moment, they cannot just finishing it without compromising on a lot of what they promised.
It's kind of like we talked about with server meshing, because server meshing is like holding a lot of things up, and there's like a damn wall.
Yes.
So you got to look at it at like multiple teams building things, but if there's just something that's holding everything up, when that piece slots in place, it's like a damn wall bursting. So a lot of stuff, once that final foundation comes in, you'll find a lot of stuff comes in rapid concession, like maybe over the next 12 months, because obviously they're still going to be put in place, but because there's more shit they can move in, the game really comes together a lot more in the last, you work about 90% of the game, but then it just all starts to come together in that last 10%. Like it looks like nothing's been done for the longest time, and then as they're completed, they all push in.
Yeah, exactly that, and it muddies any conversation about cost, because people say, well, look at how much money. Well, 600 people were employed at their engine studio throughout that entire period, and if you just take 600 times 30,000, let's say dollars for each person, and then work that out for the 9 years it took Red Dead to come out, that alone is not too far off where we are at the minute. Yeah. So what people need to understand is that what they talk about sprints, when they talk about sprints, that's not something CIG came up with. That's not, oh, I know, we'll call it sprints. That's not what's happening. This is something called agile project management. It's a recognized form of management. You can go and have a look. It is also recognized very much in the IT world, and agile project management is used by and large, in situations where people know what they want to achieve, but they don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
In very much like Star Citizen, like, how do we build a game that dynamically brings servers on and offline so that everyone can hopefully play in a very similar game space or the same game space, and so on and so on and so on. You know, they know that what they want to achieve, and that's why they talk about sprints, because sprints allows them to focus on something. They're like, oh, great, we've got some tech. We've got some new tech. This is working. Sprint on this now, and then they'll reach an obstacle, and they'll go, oh, okay, right. Well, we don't think we can optimize this, but we can't take it any further until we've got this next bit of tech. So now this sprint is finished, and now we're going to sprint on that. And that's why this takes long. And, you know I'll get accused of being white knighting for CIG, but I mean, genuinely, agile project management is exactly that style. That's why it's used. Agile makes terms of sprints. You could go and pay a couple of $1,000s or a couple of £1,000 and get an officially recognized qualification in agile project management. It's a commercial thing.
Cut in there on your badges.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Because even though it may sound like you're white knighting for CIG, you're not. You're actually saying this is what game development is for everybody. Mm-hmm. But because we're playing the game and we look at what we've got so far and we say, well, why is it taking so long? We're looking kind of at a part of a game or what goes on that we normally wouldn't see. You normally wouldn't see this with any other game developer.
Yeah.
It's just that we're on the inside looking out and going, but why? Yes. But the process of what they're doing and how they go about it is the same as any other developer.
Yeah.
It's just that we've got a better inside view of what's going on.
Exactly that. And there are plenty of games out there that don't use Agile. That's because they're taking something that's recognized and they're just adding something to it. So, for example, Fortnite was a game before it did the Battle Royale stuff. They just added Battle Royale as a mode. And it took off. So they don't need to use Agile. But, I'm not saying one way or another that it's the right thing for them to do, it's the wrong thing for them to do. I'm merely stating that it is. That's where they're going with it. And, for one, I'm quite happy to be on board. But anyway, hopefully that answers the question. Sorry I can't stay longer, but I do have work in the morning. So have a good chat. Thank you ever so much for everyone saying hello. Cheers for whoever voted me in for Perseus Captain much earlier on in the chat. I do appreciate it. Have a good chat, guys. Have a good evening, and I shall catch you all soon.
Hopefully,
and as we...
SA did say he was going to come back in and replace
He did say he was going to come back, and Badgers says goodbye. SA comes in, so say goodbye, Badgers.
Goodbye, Badgers. Also, Navy better than Army. Cough, cough.
Yeah. There's the fighting words.
And hi, SA.
Hello.
So we go from one military mind of you, a second military mind of Inforunners. So Navy to what's your branch?
Yeah.
To a
ground pounder. Well, I mean,
so Navy to ground pounder. So we cover all areas here, and we'll move on to our question. This is a question for you, X. Yeah. How did you get a CCU to a Corsair?
I have connections. No, I just asked in Inforunners, and someone was nice enough to reply. I believe it was Lemming, actually. Lemming. He was kind enough to sell it to me at cost. You make connections as content creators, but yeah, people are pretty friendly in Inforunners. Ask around, you might get some help.
So, just go to the Inforunners channel, Discord channel, and you can ask, and people may have what you need and be willing to part with it. Other than that, you wait for the sale that comes along that's got the ship there. I think they'd have been picked up when the ship was originally concepted or something along those lines. So
yeah, I got a Hurricane to Corsair.
Yeah, I have a couple of the same things.
So Byron J has a question for us. He says, hey, what do you do with a 15k in game and you're now old, and if it... Oh, hang on. Hey, what's to do with 15k in game and you're now old, and if it comes out before death, most likely would be able to play alone and not sure which ships to keep. Byron J, I think that's a Fix My Fleet question. And so if you go along to the Inforunners channel and ask in our Fix My Fleet section, there'll be plenty of people in our channel who will help you, or you can even reach out directly to Execute and I in that chat, and we will do our best to assist you sorting out what to do, where to go, and what build as a ship.
Motherfucker! Scared the shit out of me. Oh, sorry, Argo. Oh, fuck,
dirty rotten nine tails.
Took an age off my life. Oh.
Tails, I think.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so that would be the option to do.
Alright, so for any military person watching right now, I know you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking, but sure, these sights are the most ridiculous sights I've ever seen on the weapon. Like, you don't highlight the side of sights. It's driving me crazy watching you play.
I'm sorry.
So you know how, like, the side of the sight, like in the sight picture?
Hang on.
So you have the lollipop, right? The part in the center that actually is what you shoot at. The sides being lit up is not a thing. That is not what sights are like.
It's in the future, mate. Of course, everything's lit up with RGB. That's how it works.
Yeah. No. No, you want to focus on the
I think it just makes it detracts from what you're trying to do, which is why they don't light up the sides and they only light up the center. I'm assuming that's the process.
So like a 3-dot sight, yeah, you would. You like a pistol, right? I mean, 3 dots line up, you shoot. That's fine. But like something like this, that's so much bright stuff around the target you're shooting at that if there's any light there, it all just like bleeds away. It drives me crazy seeing this stuff. CIG, stop this. This is not a real thing. It looks cool, but it's not a real thing.
Really cool, man. Yeah, well, people will know my view on some of the rule of cool from my responses to the infamous Odyssey. But yeah. Anyway, shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Joseph Cano, he says, will we see a Grey Cat PTV variant with a fixed size for Gatling?
I do. That's similar to what you talked about in one of the episodes we did, SA, wasn't it? You mentioned a passenger that had a gun.
Yeah, the MRZ.
Polaris, wasn't it?
No, yeah, basically a Polaris with a cruiser weapon on the side, or on the in front of the passenger seat where the windshield would be. You're wearing goggles, so there's no windshield, and yeah, that weapon that's a real thing. So yeah.
So the Polaris there being a military vehicle of today, so not the spaceship.
You can buy as a civilian. This is a particular version of it that's built a little heftier, but not much. I mean, to be honest, I thought the Cyclone was this vehicle. If the Cyclone passenger had a weapon, I mean, imagine how amazing that vehicle would be. Even a size 1 weapon.
Yeah. So yes, could be. Certainly Cake, the Grey Cat PTV in its lore was designed for going through mines. The creator had felt guilty over the deaths of guys who'd been working under him and basically started to, as he was redoing stuff, it was over-engineered and done for super safety. And so this little vehicle for moving through was like super safe.
I couldn't get over how detailed that lore was when Paul was telling me that. Because I didn't know any of that, and it kind of blew my mind, like just the level of detail they go to. And then you kind of, halfway through when he was telling me, I was like, oh yeah, that's all made up. But
that lore, that depth of lore is one of it, and the fact that the ship is the first, the little PTV was the first one we had in game, and the fact that we had the go-kart track in the hangars and stuff, all of that is why I think it's a ship worthy of, or a vehicle worthy of, the best in show. So, if you want to know my opinion, that's my opinion. So there you go. Anyway, any other thoughts on that question, guys?
No.
All right. So Riddick has a question. Do you have any info or leaks on new ship or vehicle?
Only what we talked about before.
Yeah,
with
only
the,
what we talked
Pisces.
about. We don't have any leaks on it, but certainly from what we saw and what we were thinking, yes, we think it's probably a salvage vehicle, a salvage ship. Vehicle could be a salvage vehicle, and the variant we were originally, before we watched the show, were thinking hopefully a C8X from stuff we'd heard, but having watched the show, it could very well be an Argo. So Blizzrad, he has a question. He says, with the relay gameplay teaser in ISC, with the hammerhead and the relays coming out in the walls, what do you expect this loop to look like in smaller ships? SA, what do you think?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Wow. Damn.
Execute trying to steal
God damn it.
It broke your ship.
Yeah.
So, SA, with relays and components, how do you think it's going to, that gameplay loop will be on smaller ships?
Well, it's a weird discussion to have. I mean, like, my hope is that it's actually a task. Well, they're going to be connected, but how would they be connected? Is it something that, like, you have a certain expertise to do, certain tool? I hope relays are basically a quote-unquote energy portion of it, and that components are a separate skill set, because then you're talking about two different crew members working together, trying to solve a problem, and I like that idea. So, I mean, we'll see what they come up with. I don't want a capacitor relay to need a capacitor expertise, quote unquote, or tool to fix it. I want it to be hey, I have a line that's down on my ship. So, one person fixes the capacitor because they know how to do that. One person goes and fixes a relay. But I mean, we'll see what they do. I just hope there's more functionality to it.
Yeah, that'd be nice to have one person fixing the component or making the components keyed up to the capacitor or the relay. So yeah, it'd be nice to see that type of stuff. X, thoughts?
Hang on. Not at the good time.
Yeah, don't die.
Now's the perfect time, because
No,
you're gonna
it's
die.
terrible time. Get out! Get out! Why don't you get out? Shit. Bow.
Run. G5 goes so slow when you want to go fast, don't
Run,
you?
run, bitch! Oh, fuck! Oh. Okay, I'm at it. Alright, what was the question?
Sorry, after that heart-pounding evacuation of your ship. So with relays and components coming in, how do you see that would work with smaller ships? What are your thoughts?
I don't think smaller ships will have them as such. I think there will be a thing, like you'd need at least a cutlass. Like it has to have internals, yeah, for that to actually be a thing. So maybe an Aurora might be the smaller ship you set on, that type of thing, where you got to get out and fix it. What the hell is
it?
Yeah,
you might be lucky and have one on your in your Aurora, or at least a space. I think most of the smaller ships, if you've got them, they'll be outside of the ship, and you'd need to get out and do them, same as you'd do the components. But certainly for the larger ships, I hope it's more than just, as I was saying, just fix, interact with this. Don't need a specialist tool, but you need someone at each point kind of adjusting the levels to make it work, or rerouting the power to the system you want it to go to. So so a little bit more complex for larger, hopefully a lot more complex for larger ships, but not so much for smaller ships.
Hey bud, you there?
Yeah, I'm hoping
hang on.
I'm hoping larger ships are their own mini game. Like you have to get to the right junction to repair the right thing. You might not know where it is, so you might be running through a ship like pseudo Star Trek, right? Like Next Generation, going through Jeffrey tubes, doing all these really cool things to be able to find the right spot to fix.
Yep. And I know that was kind of a thinking that a lot of people had with say the Jeffrey tubes in a Starfarer, even though it was kind of built as being this PvP area. And I know that was the type of thing that people had with the idea of Which one was it that had the original crawl tubes up the roof? Was it the Vanguard?
The Starfare and the Vanguard were the two crawl ships. Yep.
So the one with the Vanguard certainly was originally supposed to have these kind of crawl spaces you went through to do that type of so that would have been nice to have, but I think they got rid of them just because of the animations getting caught, the AI or people animations getting caught up on the geometry. And I think that's why we've got crouch spaces in the MSR rather than crawl spaces for that AI and avatar and movement. But yeah, it'd be nice to see those types of things and having to crawl through Jeffrey tubes and other things to repair, just like in Star Trek, as I was saying. Ollington says, question, I love the BMM and want to use it as my main ship. I also bought the Cat to use it more as a daily driver and for hauling. Do you think it's worth it, or should I just CC my Cat into something else?
I've got both, and I think they're different in enough ways because you've got a lot of versatility with the modules on the Cat. You kind of, it's not a one-trick pony, but you know what I mean. Like it's more focused in the Banner Merchantman would be where the Caterpillar's the complete opposite, where it's hyper versatile. It really is the definition of a daily driver for me because it's hyper versatile.
And I know it's one of your favourite ships, Cat. So I'm going to skip that question because I don't think the fact that I've got pretty much everything makes my comments kind of
still give your opinion.
Superfluous.
What about USA? Do you have any opinions
I
on?
was going to say SA. What do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I mean, God, I mean, they're so different. Like what they will do, what they're capable of is so different. I would say if I had to choose between one of them, I would say the Cat. I mean, even though I don't own a Cat, I do own a BMM, but the Cat just has more versatility when it comes down to like day-to-day activity. If you're looking for a daily driver, the BMM really is not a daily driver. I mean, if you probably will not be able to run it well by yourself. So if we're just going on that, I would say, and in my opinion, the Cat probably won't end up being a daily driver once components and a variety of other things come into play. So my personal advice that you're not asking for, whoever asked the question, is find something that would be a daily driver. Melt the BMM if you have one and get a Cat in that. But hey, if you want to dream big,
he was asking the opposite. He was asking if the Cat was a good daily driver. Was it worth having? Because he thinks it's too similar to the Banner Merchantman, essentially, because they both.
They're completely different. They're so different. It's insane. I mean, you're talking about like something like a BMM that could go against probably a heavy assault with multiple crew members and survive, versus the Cat that. Like the Cat's an amazing ship, and I don't own one, but I respect it now. Mainly from flying with X and watching him not freaking blow himself up or blow us up against asteroids. But yeah,
I've heard of stories of X flying into hangars with you guys on, and you're going, no, you're gonna crash, and he just glides in and bang.
No, it's terrifying. You don't understand. Like I've never been terrified by something that, like I've been terrified by real world shit. Like, excuse my language, but like that, like watching him fly ships into hangars. Well, I'll never forget those moments in my life. Like I'm truly
pedal to the metal.
My favorite,
like 100 meters away or something like that.
50% military, 50% X flying into hangars.
My favorite one was with Piggles and Space Tomato, where I landed at I can't remember what it was, but the sensors on the front of the Caterpillar, so you know how you can kind of walk into where the elevators are, the sensors go underneath, and the angles of the guns or whatever they are on the top are literally like 5 inches off the top. It's just like a glove, just like perfectly under the awning and then perfectly just almost touching. It's so funny. And they're just out there looking, going, how the hell did you not crash? Because like literally a couple inches and it would have exploded. So yeah.
As the counterpoint to that, I've been with you many times that you've crashed.
Yes.
Yes, we've watched him crash multiple times on stream as well. So
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I've had more practice in the Cat, you see.
Yeah, true. It is a ship that you like you made me kind of grow to appreciate your cat rather than anything else. I think
every ship's got a thing that you can appreciate about it that's different. Like
absolutely.
Yeah. You just gotta find its sweet spot, and I think that's the great thing about this game. There's no real, like, really, when you break it down, there's no two ships that are exactly the same, and they all have a little cool thing about them. And I think
there's lots of ships that have an overlap, but no two ships that are perfectly identical, and so, and that is a great plus. It does give that pick the ship you want to use for the job you want to do, and in that sense, most ships could be a daily driver. But as you were saying, SA, as good as the cat is now as a daily driver, I'm not sure it will be a good daily driver when relays and components and everything else come online. And it's the same with even the Connie. Will the Connie or the 600i remain as a good daily driver for a solo player when components and relays and everything else come online?
Solo, yes. Okay, I can give you that.
Yeah, so in terms of those, and I kind of see the way people talk about daily drivers as being that for solo gameplay. And I'm not sure a lot of those ships will be good.
If you break that down, then it just becomes an A to B vehicle then, and
yeah.
You know,
well, I mean, daily driver is what you want it to be. I mean,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, my first ship that I actually thought would be my daily driver wasn't my first ship I purchased, but the one that I thought would be the ship I took out every day was the 315. You know, it was I have a tractor beam, I have a little bit of weapons, I have a little bit of storage, I have the ability to sleep and like take care of basic needs. And like, you know, I mean, the game has evolved so much. I mean, your daily driver is like who you're playing with. What are you doing?
Maybe the next
Star System.
Sorry to interrupt, but maybe the next time we do a daily driver video, we should do it like, you know, one person, two people, 4 people, or something like that. You know, like so tailor it to more that I don't know. You guys, let me know in chat. Like, would you like to see video that kind of
poll?
Yeah, do a poll. Can you do a poll?
What should we do? Yep. So let's see. What are we asking?
So
it's just a yes or no. Hang on. It's just a yes or no question, Algared.
It is a yes or no question.
Yeah, just do it that way. Sorry, SA, you were saying?
No, it's all right. A question for you two actually is like, what is more of a daily driver for you two these days? Is it a freelancer or is it MSR? Because they're very different in size and capability, but I fly an MSR as a daily driver.
I've always seen the daily driver is a generic ship that does a lot of different things, like a Swiss Army knife type of thing. That's how I've always seen it, and that's why I think the cat is the most daily driver, because it's probably going to be the most, like, have more modules than anything else, and when it's all said and done, right? And that's, you know, I also see things like a Redeemer as a daily driver, you know, because if it's going to have those modules that swap out, but it's a combat-focused daily driver, you know.
So there's a question. So I've got the question saying, should we do a daily driver show looking at the crew numbers, which is basically, you know, 1 crew, 2 crew, 3 crew, etc.
Your lack of punctuation irks me.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was on the fly.
It's all good. I hear my mum screaming in my ear.
I'm not at school. I don't want to have to worry about it.
Well, you're a teacher, and my mum's a teacher, so my mum is like, because I had that drilled into me as a kid. Anyway, what was your question, SA?
No, my statement was going to be really the only true daily driver as far as like versatility goes right now is the Liberator, which I hate that ship, but it has the ability to hold other ships, and it's a 2-person like minimum. Like you and a buddy could take that to theoretically any system you want to and do whatever, because you could have anything that could fit in those paths. You could keep it, and you have a vehicle bank.
And in answer to your question, as which is the ship we use as a daily driver at the moment, if I drift between a solo ship, and it's either a something like an Aurora or a Avenger, but more often I'll take out a Connie these days. But I've in the past I've taken out the Carrack because I like the Carrack. Certainly, if I want one with a med bed, it's usually the Carrack. I like the 890, but I very rarely take it out.
Do you guys know how to shut down the turrets? Like, where do I go to shut down the turrets? Can someone tell me in chat? I've not done this part of Orison.
So
you need to kill the lieutenant, get his code, and then open up the things, don't you?
I've never got to this part because, like, I've always had other people complete it when I've been here, so I've never managed to get to it.
Another of our ships went down. We need to be more careful out
Yeah, so kill the lieutenant, get his code, and then go back to those crates and open up the crates until you find the thing, and then use the code to it.
Well, someone killed him already.
So that means they've got the code. So you need to
anybody
find
looted his body, or did they?
Elwook, we actually are on Twitch, man, at the same time. We just don't get as many viewers on Twitch. But yeah, we are on Twitch.
Yep.
We're dual streaming. So yeah.
Yep, we are on Twitch. And if you put a question in on Twitch, it will appear in our feed as well. So we're just literally going down the list of questions in the order they've come through onto our bot. So
that hurt.
To the last question, as far as like daily drivers go, I would say that like I fly the MSR every day, but I would say I want the Connie to be my daily driver. It just the interior of the Connie is so bad.
Oh,
I mean, it's dated. It is what it is. I love that ship though. I don't know what it's about it. I mean, I hope Chris, because it's his baby, fixes it. But yeah.
Well, they have said, if you think the Connie is going to be what it is, I've heard CIG guys say this. If you think the Connie is going to remain what it is, then you're wrong. But I do hope they do fix it. The Connie was my first ship back in the day when there was only a Connie, not the Andromeda or whatever. But I do really like the Connie. The second ship I ever bought was the Aurora.
Freelancer?
No, the Aurora. And the Aurora was specifically because I wanted... The Connie was for me and my mates to play when we're playing the game. And the Aurora was so that when I was playing by myself, I would have a ship, and I read the advertising that said the parts were interchangeable. So I went, okay, yeah. I wish I knew differently. I probably would have picked up an Avenger back then, or...
oh, shit.
I mean, I did. I
my daily drive. As my, my...
Mother! Be on the other guy.
You've still got now. I've put out a medical call. Oh, I might help you.
How do you do that?
All right, so moving on from the quest drivers. Just got to find where it is. Scroll up too far. Okay, can find your vehicle. Relays.
Some guy took my medical beacon. Look how far away he is. He's 19 million. God damn it.
Yeah, but he might get.
He's got to fly all the way to Orison and then.
Within an hour.
Oh, yeah, great.
He means well.
Yeah. All right, so.
Oh, they got a super chat there from Mike Smith. Hang on.
Zoan Disco.
Algared, hang on, Algared. We've got a super chat there from Mike Smith.
Okay, yep.
It says, have you had a coffee today? Doesn't matter. Have another one on me. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. All right,
I have had one, but having another one is always a good thing. Thanks, Mike. We love you for that. But, yeah. Anyway. So the next question was, and I've lost where I was. Where are we up to? Zoan Disco has a question. He says, do you think the Retaliator could get an electronic warfare module? If so, would it be more like a capital Q-gap jammer, more powerful EMP, or something else?
Hang on. Can anyone res me?
SA.
Yeah, I mean, I'll totally take this one. Yes, the answer is yes. It'll be all those things. So, I mean, like, clearly he's talking about a C-130 that would have different capabilities, or a C-12. We're looking, the Retaliator's the size where the modules will be interchangeable and be unique to the power pattern of the ship. So the ship should have a power, or should have an amount of power to be able to handle any of those capabilities. So yeah, I see this ship being extremely versatile. To me, the Retaliator is kind of the sweet ship that, I mean, the same thing that the Inforunners have talked about for years now, I mean, the base Retaliator is the bargain of any ship you can possibly buy. Because the modules that will eventually come out for it are ridiculous, and the military needs that type of ship. So, yeah, I predict X and I have talked about this. I think it will get a military / both active e-warfare and IO collection ship module 2.
Yeah. It's always be good to see those different things. I'd love to see it. Could CIG do it? Yep. Will they do it? Good question. Should they do it? I would like to say yes. For all the reasons that Ether. You want to add anything to that question or comment on Retaliator having EMP electronic warfare X?
I think if it does, it'll be more along the lines of potential modules or the actual weapons themselves, which will probably go into other ships as well, not just it. But then again, as SA will tell you, the only real kind of e-warfare ship is really the Sentinel at the moment. Everything else is just like, I think the only other one is the Defender has some kind of EMP missile, but other than that, you correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. I think the only bullet we've seen without real modularity that probably needs it is going to be the hull C, hull A, hull M.
Oh, freaking window.
Searching for the cargo container housing the Inforunners. Have the coast to access it, so all that's left is to find it and shut it down.
Why is he not dying?
We're getting a bit of desync. My ammo count is getting ridiculously low.
It was nice to
Let's have an FS9.
Yeah, because they would have got you otherwise. Right, so do you think we will ever see minor salvage profession combo ship?
No. Mainly because
I definitely see.
Cool. Getting a bit of
would we see a Drake?
We're getting a bit of lag from you, Algared, just so you're aware.
Sorry, X.
Yeah, that's right. We're just getting a bit of lag from you. I'm just letting you know, so you're aware. Yep, you're lagging a bit bad.
Yep.
That's all good. Keep going.
So, will we see a Drake? Sorry, will we see a Drake mining salvage profession combo ship?
God, that'd be amazing. Or probably not.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna.
I think
cross professions like that too much, because
it'll be.
Sorry, it was. Say what you said.
No, it'll be vehicles or hand tools or some other combination of like. I mean, so we have current hand tools which are like small, and we know the medical is going to get a bigger gun. I mean, I could see like a crew serve type of 2 hands, gigantic mining laser, salvage laser. So yeah, I mean, we're going to see it, but it won't be vehicles. It'll be what goes in the vehicle.
I'd be more likely to think of something like the Vulcan.
I could see us have.
So you know how the Vulcan can swap what it does? So it can be repair, resupply, and whatever, but it can only do kind of one thing at a time because of the cargo restrictions. That's what I'd expect to see. Something where you can, if it was multi-use, but you have to flip between the two. Yep. Sorry, Algared.
I could see also the mine, and you going in with your repair gun. That would be how you do it. But yeah, I don't see it becoming, mainly because it's taking away from areas that specialise. I actually think Drake are because they're on some of their main yards are salvage.
The only other one I'd think would probably be Consolidated Outland. I think there's a lot more ships to come from Consolidated Outland. From a lot of manufacturers, actually.
So I could see them looking at weapons racks and making equipment racks to where different ships have different capabilities where you could put different types of salvage equipment or mining laser large pieces. So I've always looked at weapons racks and thought, All right, so yeah, we see that, but when you look at Alien, for example, or like I should say Aliens, like Ripley has this gigantic thing that is not a weapon, and it wouldn't fit in a weapon rack necessarily. So like, where are the really big, hey, crew serve weapon or gigantic mining laser racks in certain ships? So I can see certain ships getting like a Nomad in the back deck, like not inside the ship in the back, getting a ton of those and being able to say, okay, I'm going to decide to store like this mining laser or this, torch or whatever it's going to be, or this crew serve weapon. So that could be cool.
How do I get over there?
Jump, dude, jump.
Is it?
I have no idea.
No way. I can't make that. That's too high.
Jump, do it. There's a stream, do it.
Oh, maybe.
So it happens, you die.
I believe in you.
Yeah, I don't believe in me. That's a fucking problem. Oh shit, this is gonna hurt.
All right, so next question. So, do we really need any more Drake ships? Which man most?
Say that again. You broke up just a little bit.
Do we need another? And which manufacturer needs a ship most?
Worst.
It breaks up
You broke
again.
up in the exact same part. That was
Yeah.
hilarious. All right, one more time.
Need another Drake ship.
That was worse.
Which manufacturer needs a new ship?
So something about a Drake ship and.
Yeah, do we need
Hey,
another
dude, what are we doing here? Lead the way. I'll follow you.
So.
Oh, bargain container contact code.
Not Ren's access code for the containers.
2298.
Main priority.
All right, sorry.
Find the one that has the inverter
So is it in here somewhere? Is it?
there and shut it down.
Is this
Yeah,
what
you go to the different containers. You know they see lying around with the code?
Oh wait, hang
You'll
on.
use that code to open it up. Those containers will have.
I've never been in here. This is my first time ever in here.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a code.
One of the containers that you see lying around with that will give you those will have the thing that shuts down the turrets.
Oh shit, I'm stuck here forever.
You've just got to find the right. Yep.
There we go. All right, so
The question was, do we need another?
just keep breaking.
Drake ship?
You just keep breaking up in
And
the same
what
spot, Algared. So
is
is
the
it do we need another Drake ship? Is that what the question is?
Which company needs a new ship? Which company needs a new ship?
I know what you're going to say. You're going to say Kruger. You always say Kruger when we talk about
Yeah,
this.
because I love Kruger, and
Yeah. So what type of ship would they make then, Algared? What type of ship would they make?
they would have
wouldn't
made the Ares. They'd have made something like the Ares, I think. They'd have upscaled their next weapon. Let's put it around a ship, just like they did with the P-50. So they would be more fighters and weapons with that. They're a weapons company they make. And, so they do a bit of everything, and they do, the P-52 was a proof of concept that we can build ships that have weapons, and so they literally put one of their weapons in their ship. So they would have done something, I would imagine, like... Oh, a dirty little bugger. Stand again. They would have done something like the Ares.
Oh, you... Son of a bitch. I need a res.
But what chips and manufacturers would you like? And I've got to disappear. I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, no worries.
Or a few minutes.
It's fine. Yeah, as I said, Consolidated Outland, I think they've got a lot of ships because of the outskirts. They talk about being look at the names like Nomad and Pioneer and stuff like that. They live on the fringes, so they're gonna have a lot more industry-based ships. Stuff like that. What about USA? What manufacturer do you think we'll get some ships from?
No, I agree, Connor. Actually, I agree with both of you. So Kruger, I think no one starts out making fighters, like little stump fighters. Like, it doesn't make sense. So there's got to be...
They did a lot of weapons. They were a weapons manufacturer. And
yes.
then they went into that went into ships. And
But
that whole
builds
Merlin is built... And I do agree with Algared.
around a weapon. Yeah.
Yeah. The Ares does sound a lot more Kruger than it does Crusader, especially since they changed the entire law just to sell Crusader ships that were combat because they knew they'd make a lot of money, which is disappointing.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, besides that, so let's get into the actual like manufacturers right now. I think so. Those two manufacturers, I think, are probably the primary. But like Kruger, no one starts making weapons. No one does.
Yeah.
Like you start making parts, you make components, and Kruger did. But like, I want to see the Kruger, like the equivalent of the C-12, like a just light aircraft that can take a few hits, multiple engines, very durable, not fast. Like I would love to see something like that. And we have those already kind of in the verse. So if they don't want to do it, cool. But like I would love to see a reason why the Kruger brand came up with the Merlin and the Achilles. So that, I mean, that's my want. Now, you know, what will we see? Consolidated Outland is probably more likely because I mean there is somebody that's going in to mess up the norm. They want to, you know, find something that upsets what the reality is in the verse and the Elon Musk quote unquote, you know, new world. So we'll see. But I mean, do we need a new manufacturer to make stuff like that? Which wasn't the question. No. I mean, we have enough manufacturers.
That guy really screwed me up, man. I got 2 tier 3 injuries, head and chest. I honestly don't know what I'm looking for here. I assume I'm looking for some kind of control panel on a cargo crate. Wait, here we go. Nope.
Freaking, I love this part of this event.
It just doesn't yell directions. Like it doesn't.
No, which I love. I mean, so for those that don't really, I don't want to say understand. It's the wrong phrasing. I don't know how to say this well. In real combat, you don't know what you're going for. You're just going for it. Like you have a mission objective. You're going to grab this guy. You might have a picture of him. You might think you know what he looks like, but like when you actually get to him, he might look completely different. So it's a weird thing, right? And I love the confusion that you're facing right now because it makes you try to think. What I don't like is your reticule. Your reticule sucks ass. That glowing freaking view.
Let it go, let it go, let it go.
I can't.
I fully understand what you're saying, SA. It's to be unmuted.
Well, excellent.
All right, so moving on.
I just don't know. I just don't know what I'm looking for here. That's the biggest problem. Is it just like a control panel on a box?
You've got your code, right?
Yeah, we've got the code. It's on the screen there.
Yeah, you know those crates that you said?
Yeah, there's crates everywhere.
Yep, and those crates, open those crates, and one of those crates that you open will, the thing you need to shut down.
I haven't seen a single crate
and
that
others
I can
will
open
have loot.
those, so...
You have.
Oh, have I? I just didn't know what I was looking for and walked straight past it.
I mean, you're technically accurate, but yeah, you did see him. They were there.
Oh, really? Well, next time you see one, let me know. Cause... Oh, wait, here's one. This one's already been opened.
Yep.
What just happened?
30k? Who knows?
No, I can hear my character breathing.
Sandgroper has a question. He says, with all this talk of the Pisces, are small snubs, Pisces, MPVU, P52, P72, ever likely to get a very short quantum drive engine? Well, the Pisces already has one, but Argo, MPVU, P and C, and the P52, P72.
So I now have a crime stat,
have one,
and I'm in prison. How the hell did that happen? I didn't kill anyone.
I have no idea.
Oh, it looks like it happened to everyone.
Sure I'm pretty sure it has something to do with
the ending of the event.
Something to do with SE leaks.
Nah, probably. We'll see. Objective withdrawn. Total kilometer is neutralized. Crime statting increased. I think the event just ended, and it gave everyone a crime stat.
You got a crime because you're obviously involved. see leak at some point in your life.
That's what it feels like.
Who knows? It's more likely the event just ended, and so because you were in a restricted area, you got a crime stat. That would be my guess.
Yep.
Well, I have no idea.
Amazing.
So what are your thoughts on MPVU and the P5272 being a very short-range quantum drive just to help with traveling around planets? Hey, we'll go with you this time.
I kind of think they do need that, don't they? Just because I don't know if you've flown even just from station to planet takes ages, but yeah, they don't even have because they don't have the quantum drive that you can't. You know, you press B and it kind of tells you where the thing is, so you can just fly
don't have
to
a
it.
navigation.
They don't have that. Yeah, especially at the moment. Anyway.
I have done a box mission in an MPVU. It took me a couple of hours, and I was using the box delivery pickup as the beacon to fly to. But it took me hours. It took me ages. Pleasant flight. I want to do that every day.
Why would you?
In a million years.
What drove you to do
They
that?
do need.
Have you met Algared? I'll tell you right now what drove me to do it.
Wow.
Oh, we got some real bad lag from you today.
That's. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's alright.
But yeah, because I could. So that was
That's the
sole
worst reason in the world.
decided it. That's because. Yeah, and I think people were saying no one drives, but I do like flying. It's a nice. But I decided to actually just rather than for sightseeing and just going short distance, that I'd actually do a box mission just for the, as I say, shits and giggles. So yep. So I do think they do need it. A very short, even if it's just station to planet and back. That type of range before you need to reload, refuel.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, SA?
I mean, first of all, you doing like random missions like that? I mean, yeah, if you love pain, do them. As far as the game,
about having an MP5272 having a very short range bomb.
Algared, I don't know how well you can hear me, but you're lucky to say 3 words before you break up. You've literally got to the point now where you're basically unaudible. We just can't understand what you're saying. So, yeah, I apologize, man, but we just can't understand what you're saying at all. Well, I can't. I don't know what it's like for SA, and I can't imagine what it's like for streaming.
Yeah, same.
But yeah.
I think it's something with the connection locally.
Yeah, I just can't understand what you're saying, unfortunately, bud. I apologize, but yeah.
It's all good. I mean, we'll work through it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, would I... So, what is the question again?
So he basically wanted to know if snubs like the Merlin and the MPUV should get some kind of short range quantum drive so they could get to just closer places around the planet.
Yeah, 100%. But I think there needs to be a compromise, right? So you give up a weapon slot, like that main center weapon. Like the Merlin gives up the main gun and the Achilles gives up the 2 side guns for a quantum drive or a jump drive, whatever it's going to be. Like, it's just a matter of, like, I want to see, and I think you and Paul talked about this. I think it was the MPUV needs a jump drive. Like, it does. It makes sense. But, like, it doesn't have tons of life support, right? So, like, it's a risky thing to do. Like, there's an exchange. You load up a jump drive module. You have a thing to jump drive, but, like, you have to make a choice. Like, do I risk it or do I not risk it?
Algared, just a suggestion. Cut your camera and you'll probably have more bandwidth for your audio. So, yeah.
All right. Let's try killing the camera.
Yep.
Go.
And see how your audio goes. So just close Ninja, basically, Algared. Yep. And I will turn it off on my end. Hang on.
I was going to close Ninja, but then I thought, hang on, I better double check that.
Your audio is improved. There we go.
But I've turned the camera off, so that should work now. So
yep, it's much better.
That cleared things up.
Yep, it did.
Right.
All right, next question, please.
Right. So next question, now that we've got there, and to those who are enjoying seeing old Mel bye. But I'm still hearing voice. The voice in the void. Two of us now. So let's see. We've gone past. Got to find where we are now. Where are you? Where are you, Sandra? Okay, so Duncan, he says, do you think in future dressing as a 9, etc., will give you a crime stat? Kind of fitting with your.
You'd hope they have the technology to scan you and stuff there. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I hope they do give crime stat.
It'd be interesting if that's why you crime stat.
Whoa. What's the lag there, boys? SA, you go first. SA, you
No, I was just saying, yeah, I'm here. No, I was just saying, yeah, I mean, I would like to see crime stat from self-identifying, right? Like, if you want to identify being part of a gang, I mean, yeah, you're kind of wanted. Like, don't wear those things. You know, like, if you're Imperial, don't dress like an Imperial if you're in a rebel area. If you're a rebel, don't dress like a rebel.
Algared?
Yep. It's a bit like, why you're, I thought it was a fitting question to ask, considering your current situation where you were wearing Ninetales, who got a crime stat when the mission ended. And I could see, it makes sense. The security's now swept through the area, they've got control, and they've swept up all the people wearing Ninetales gear, and they're clearly guilty because they were Ninetales gear in an area where Ninetales are taken over. So, yeah, it makes sense. So, yeah, I could see that.
What the So, someone else just knocked me out. Why would he knock me out?
Evil people.
Oh, what a dick. I don't know which way I'm going.
He stole your... So, Twitch channel, we have Black Dream Hunk has a question. He says, 4 viewers on Twitch. It was more prominent before, maybe because I'm not asking questions today. Okay, well, thank you for that. Always viewers on Twitch, and hey, Elwook, good to you. He thinks a ship with 4 to 7 days would be awesome. By the way, our question on that we had ended with, I've just ended it, and we had 83% saying we should do a show. At one point it was at 93, so as time went on it kind of dropped down.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll have a look into that next time we do one. Yeah. Because it was very...
Centermass Gamer has a question.
Hang on, we got a lot of comments last time we did it, because the main thing that came across when we did the daily drivers was just people disagreed with what our interpretation of daily drivers was, and that was something that we learned, that everyone has a different interpretation, and I think it kind of comes down to how you're expecting to play, solo or with a group or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh, nope.
Yeah, so I think you've always got to think about in terms of how you want to play the game, and so yep.
I mean, there is a gray area there, which is is what you view as a daily driver really a daily driver? Because there are a lot of ships that people think are that are not. Like the Carrack is my favorite ship in the game.
Yeah,
it will be a daily driver, but it's not a solo ship. I mean, it really isn't. I think when the Carrack hits the real verse, and I be able to run it by yourself. It's going to be you and a couple friends.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what a lot of people really do talk about when they're talking daily drivers. They talk about ships that I can solo. And in that regard, there's not too many, you for those types of ships, you really got to go back and say, what's the largest ship that can be soloed properly? And there's not many. Like even the MSR, when you get down to components and needing to do relays, is that really a solo ship? Even on the animation type show they did, they were needing someone else to run around and do repairs and fix things. So is that really a daily driver for a solo person? And the answer, I think, is no. But maybe something like an Avenger fits more into that role. A Reliant or so it really does work out how you plan the game and what you expect to be doing.
I think the thing we can agree on though is it's not the number of people, right? It's how generic it is. It's a multi-faceted ship that can do. It's a jack of all trades. There we go. That's what they are. So the jack of all trades. The number doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. So jack of all trades, and then how many people you intend to regularly play with will determine what size of ship you end up going with. So yeah. We've answered Toki's question. We finally got up to where Badger's left us.
I can't actually open my Moby glass. What the? That's weird.
Did it get left behind when you died because it was kind of glitched off your body?
I don't know.
That's just a random thought.
I don't know.
Voodoo Child has a question. He says, capital refiner for solids equals Orion, large refiner to liquids, Starfarer refiner, no collection equals Expanse. Wouldn't the fourth refiner be a medium collection and refine to gas ship?
Sorry, read the question again.
So he makes a point. He says, capital refining ship for solids is the Orion. A large refining ship for liquids is the Starfarer. I'm just reading his comments, and then he says the Starfarer refiner.
So sorry.
Is the Expanse.
So you need to look at the Expanse, how it's got 6 refineries, and then you look at the Starfarer and it's only got 3. So if you actually take that and put that out, the reason for that is something like the Starfarer to remove volatile cargo. The only reason that refinery is there and it's got a small number of them, it's not actually to be a refiner, it's just to remove volatility. That's what it's for. Right? It's an advantage of having a bigger ship. So if you go to something like Orion, maybe they give it more, so maybe it gets 6, right? So it's equivalent to having a small Expanse. But then you'll get something like a capital refiner, and it might have like 32 damn refineries on it, or some insane number, or one that's just, maybe it's only got 6, but they're much larger, so it can process more stuff. But again, if you watch the episode we did on professional point of view on refining, they actually talk about how they take crude oil and break it down into, it can break down into 8 different things. And once you start realizing they based a lot of this stuff off the real world, it has to be more like that. It can't just be what we're thinking it is right now. And you also got to realize you're refining gas and you're remining ore. It's not just one or the other. So once you have that, you can now understand why refining as an entire tree can work, because you've got 3 professions feeding into it, which is salvage, mining ore, and mining gas. That's the only way a profession can rely on other professions, by having so many feed into it, because they are 100% reliant on being fed by those 3 professions. Anything else just wouldn't work. So yeah.
So the question was, wouldn't a fourth refiner be a medium collection and refine to gas ship?
No, because it'll refine both.
And the answer is no, based on what we think. So, well, hope that kind of answered the question. There. Okay, PC has a question. He says, or they say, do you think there will be a rock for salvage?
Well, yeah, we talked about that a little bit. What do you call it? The strip.
Yep, we called it the strip. Okay,
Unless we call it
I
we get really fancy with the name and call it the stripper pole, or I don't know. I don't know. I have to come up with the name, but anyway, the pole. We'll just call it the pole. Anyway,
actually, who was the mechanic in the Wing Commander series?
Oh, I know the actor that played him. I can't remember the name of the.
Played her.
Played her. Yeah.
Played her.
Oh, I'm thinking of the other guy. Okay, I've got the wrong person then.
Because the from memory, the actress who played the kind of mechanic ship person who interacted with Mark Hamill's character was one of the possible love interests that he could have, and the actress was known for apparently not G-rated movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently from the stuff I remember reading years ago, and I could have it wrong, but that was the idea. So yeah, I'd name it that.
I'd seen her in
anyway,
other things, but yeah.
Sorry?
I'd seen her in other things, but yeah.
Yeah. And I could have it totally wrong, but that was certainly one of the things I had heard years ago. But yeah, we do think there'll be a rock for salvage. Gabriel Kovacs has a question. He says, do you think that there will be a Mass Effect inspired ship within a few years?
Isn't that the Carrack?
It's MSR.
Or the MSR, yeah. True.
Yep. So the guys think, yes, there already is one. Certainly, I know that there was talk about that ship. I can't remember the name of it, but I know people were putting it up and comparing it with the Carrack back in the day. So, Fishy2951 says, "What on earth is that ring on Execute's wrist in game? That ring is his Moby glass. It kind of glitches off his body at the moment.
Yeah, that armor's bugged. That's all it was. Yeah.
So if you wear Ninetales armor, you'll get that glitchy effect." And end up in prison like Execute, maybe. PC has a question. Oh, hang on, make sure I get it right. Right, PC, but it's Anarchu Reigns. PvP dogfight, Vulture versus SRV. Who would win?
Vulture versus SRV.
Mm-hmm.
SRV.
Well, it's who's probably got the bigger guns, so I think that would bring that one down to there, but much of a muchness there, yeah. But yeah, don't know.
Yeah, might be fun watching, but yeah, don't know. SA thinks SRV. How come? SA.
Slingshot, like grab onto the vehicle, just like start spinning it around and hurl it.
All right, and fly it into and throw it into asteroids, or grab an asteroid and throw them into that. Okay, yeah, okay, I could see.
Yeah, I mean, it just could be like a
Whereas the south.
You do realize you can't
sucking the skin off.
You do realize you can't tractor beam people that don't want to. So as soon as they move, it drops them. So,
yeah, that should be.
So you grab a rock and throw
it. That won't happen. Essentially. Oh, yeah, you could grab a rock and throw it. Yeah, that's true.
You can dream.
If that were a thing that you could do,
you could dream. You can always dream big.
No, I think you will be able to grab people that you don't want to have grabbed because it's a crime stat. So like it's a in-game thing. So you can't stop gravity or energy hitting you.
They've actually said if you move though it drops you, so they've already stated that. It's all good. Alright, next question please, Algared.
Alright, so Antrades 4 says, do you think we'll get a consolidated outline ship anytime? And if so, what would its role be? Or what role would it fill?
Maybe it could
That's
be
a tough one.
Could be that salvage ship that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way, with the gap left,
Absolutely.
that Drake have gone and the Aegis have gone, you have to imagine one of those two is Consolidated Outland. It just makes so much sense to me. And then maybe something like Argo or Misk for the other one, because they're the other industrial ships in that area. You've kind of only really got 4 proper industrial manufacturers, which is Drake, Consolidated Outland, Misk, and Argo. So, and then you get outliers like Aegis that just make random shit. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why Consolidated Outlands is hard to determine ship it to be, because they could do anything, because their 2 ships are like opposite ends of the spectrum. One's a capital base builder, and one's a little fighter starter ship. So it's opposites.
I know you hate it. I know you hate it, Algared, but the Nomad does exist.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and the Nomad. Sorry, syndrome.
Yeah. Not biased at all,
but
Algared, it's fine.
Consolidated Outland could use that. Consolidated Outland could do with another ship, certainly. So what manufacturer should be Al's favourite? No, everyone will say Consolidated, and everyone will say Nomad.
There we go.
Okay, so Riddick has a question. He says, will ships get real weight, as Jared mentioned, new landing gear and ships blowing away? Yes.
Yep, they do it already.
The answer to that is yes.
There was footage in an ISC, I think, last week or the week before of a freelancer blowing off the pad. So yeah.
But the guy, yes, that's a problem they've got, but it is certainly intended that ships will actually have real weight. They will. I think at the moment they're geared for weight of a ship, certainly for their flight model is based on being fully laden.
Yes.
And then, so when you're unladen, you'll have a different flight model. So yes, it is something they have talked about and do hope to have in game sooner than later. Ben Frick says, Law. They talk about the nails to deploy Marines via drop. Will this be a standalone ship, like, or will it be part of the Bengal? It's not part of a standalone ship, but
I was just gonna say.
So go on, X.
I was gonna say let SA answer that one because that's more of a military one.
Yep.
So
you there, SA?
So will we have a nails question?
Yeah. Say one more time.
So, question is, in law they talk about the nails being the drop system for dropping Marines onto a location, and the question is, will we get this in game as a standalone ship, or will it be part of the Bengal?
No, definitely not part of the Bengal. It'll be a standalone dropship, and it will have like full. So the same thing we talked about with that. I want to call it a raiding craft. It's not, but it's a short insertion carrier.
Do you mean the Legionnaire? Is that what you're talking about? Or...
No, not even close. So I want it to be Legionnaire only because the Legionnaire should be the ship, but it's not. So there will be a ship with like a ton of pods on the bottom of it, little tiny blow ports, whatever it's going to be to contain them, and they will drop out. But in the really important thing is like, what does the ship have? It's going to have, basically it's going to be the Idris. It's going to have full berthing. People can sleep. There are going to be racks. There's going to be food. There's going to be a range, everything. So imagine Idris, but the entire bottom of the ship being nothing but like ports for nails. So we definitely have not seen this ship. It's going to happen. It's in lore, and yeah, CIG. Can't figure it out. Call me.
They've actually said though that we won't get it in game. They said it's a military thing only. That's the only thing I'd add to that. They did say that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can capture a Bengal in game, and you can capture this thing.
Yeah, but they were designed for Squadron 42, and I can tell you why they haven't done it is balance reasons. That's the whole reason why it'll only ever be in Squadron 42. It's a huge balance issue.
I mean, the funny thing
had said at one point.
Go ahead.
I had said at one point when it was originally asked, the answer was no, not get it. It's a straight up military way. So, will the ship exist? Will it be a player-owned ship? No. So that was on it, but yeah.
I mean, the thing I think
going to say SA.
Yeah, sorry. The thing I think is funny about that is like they're just convinced that this ship is overpowered. It's not. It's the weakest drop ship in the game. You're not going to see a ship this size pull into a quarter of any space and not know what it's going to do. You're going to recognize it immediately. You're going to shoot it down. These poor dudes in the freaking nails are going to die. And like, so there's a reason why we don't do airborne operations anymore. We don't. Like, I am an airborne soldier. I don't know how to explain this better. Like, I jump for the fucking fun of it. It doesn't matter what I do. Even air assault is kind of outdated in a weird way. This type of insertion doesn't matter because you will get shot down. So I get what they're saying. They're like, oh yeah, this is the OP thing. Now a nail ship that drops Titan suits, that is a game changer. Like full armored, freaking like I can take a few hits as I come down. Gigantic pods, retro thrusters that can like land a gigantic, basically mini mech. Yeah, that matters. For regular soldiers, no, it doesn't. Like it just isn't a thing. I mean, the Centurion and the freaking Ballista just prove that. Like you're gonna shoot him down. It doesn't matter.
I could see the nails being very much Halo, but you know the way the Halo troops get in. It's very much a call out that, and using it for Titan suits or the super heavy guys, I could see that. But yeah, for a regular ordinary grunt, certainly not something I would have expected to see. But you know, CIG did say years and years ago that no, we'd never get it. Things changed, so we might get it. It'd be nice if we did. But yeah. Zen Strata answered the question. He says, if you're thinking in a movie, then it was Jeanette Devereaux, who call sign Angel. But I'm not thinking of Angel, that she was the officer. I'm thinking of the game Wing Commander, and where they had the in-game kind of still shots or scenes. And there was a blonde who was the mechanic and took care of his ships, and you know, and so she was the Mark Hamill one love interest, and the other love interest was the Angel character, and so you had those two. But it's the game version, not the movie. But I was thinking of Zenstrata, but I'll have to Google it a little bit. So moving on, our next question was from Cascadian. Cascadian says, did I miss the speculation in regard to the new ship vehicle and variant? I believe you may have. It's at the beginning. We certainly do talk about it. Do you want to recap what we said, X, or?
Yeah, so Paul kind of talked and alluded to it being a variant of the Terrapin. We kind of think it might be a variant of the Pisces that's possibly like Recon. The new ships, I think we kind of said maybe something along Salvage or Cargo Refactor. And the vehicle would be much the same.
Yeah, and then we did see in the ISC there was the Argo with the kind of module kind of tacked on, and that made us go, ooh, maybe that is the variant as well. But certainly Execute and I would love to see a Pisces variant.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about that Argo, though, is it's in military colours, so I'm thinking it might be a military-only Argo, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
So, yeah, fingers crossed. Either way, either of those options would be great to have. But yeah.
What the fuck?
So
32 minutes. It was down to 23. It's back up. How does that? And I did the.
Because you attempted to escape. I don't know.
Man, I've been at this for so damn long.
Man, just go mining.
No, I hate the mining thing, and that's the other thing. The Moby Glass is not working now again. I'm tempted to go play another game. I really, really am. Oh dear.
Ken has a question. He says, "Apologies for joining late. No problem for that. We, real life trumps game life, and certainly trumps joining a live stream and a chat channel." Any news or just theory crafting and speculation on the new ship variants?
We just talked about that, so yeah.
Yeah, catch up. Go back and watch a movie. Yeah, there's going to be a lot. Yeah, it's going to be something to do.
Rachel Carolus, played by Ginger Lynn. Is that who you're talking about?
May well be.
Ginger Lynn. Hang on, I'm gonna Google that real quick. Hang on.
Matthew Hanna has a question. He says, do you think the Hull C is going to be ready by 3/18?
I certainly hope so. It literally does say pornographic actress. Wow. You Google
Yep,
it.
Ginger Lynn. There you go.
Wow. Okay. I thought you were joking, but you were serious.
No, I was serious. I was dead set serious. The one who played the mechanic on one of the Wing Commanders was, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't even. It doesn't give me a mining laser. So how do I do mining?
I mean, as far as the Hull C,
You go. Yep.
I mean, as far as Hull C, it would be. I mean, do we have multiple systems? I mean, if we don't have multiple systems, it doesn't matter. Hull C is useless. So I think we're going to see.
Yeah.
That's when
You get cargo refractor. You're right.
Yeah, the Hull C will come with a cargo refractor. What the hell is wrong with
Isn't
this
there
game?
a box?
Like it's reset 3 times.
Isn't there a? If you were trying to get the mining tool at least, isn't there a back
Yeah, but
in
you
the
gotta,
tunnels where you can actually?
You've got to buy it though, Algared, and it's not worth it because it sets you so far back that it's not worth it. This is just bugged. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to see it for half an hour. Maybe I just wait. I just want to play something else. Unless people can't tell, prison infuriates the shit out of me because it's a punishment, and almost every time I am here, I didn't do anything wrong. It's a bug. Every time and it not only does a bug, but I'm stuck here from like an hour or something like that, and it's nothing that I did. Like it's just out of my control, and it was a cart before the horse thing. And I just think there needs to be an option where you can go up, skip this shit, like literally go to the elevator and just go, I want to skip this shit because it's not fun. Wonder if I can get out. Let's have a look.
No, because you still got time.
No. Yeah, he just locks the door. Anyway.
Alright, so,
well, it's not letting me out because I've done that mission twice now, and it's not giving me a laser. So, I don't know what to do.
Yep.
Very boring stream, sorry guys, but yeah.
He says, when I ask got a comment that says, when I ask a question in Twitch, the number jumps. Well, ask more questions in Twitch. Mike Smith's $5 donation for a coffee. Thank you again for that. That's how late we are. Yeah, questions, guys. Riddick has a question. He says, could the Retaliator get size 6 or size 7 gun module like previously shown in the old subscriber newsletter?
What ship was that, sorry?
Riddick says, could the Retaliator get a size 6 or size 7 gun module like previously shown in an old subscriber newsletter?
So I
assume by that you're meaning the jump point.
I've actually said a few times, I'm like they put the Retaliator on the roadmap at the beginning of the year for a 6 months kind of thing, and that's a lot of work, and the only thing that we knew that they had to do to it was the door, because they moved the dock from the bottom to the side, and so we know they had to do something to the side there, right? 6 months is a lot of work just for a door. So what I suspected at the time was they're also they've got at the moment they've got 5 turrets. That's just a lot of people in a ship that's essentially a bomber, right? That's a lot. Like look at the other bombers like the Eclipse. Don't need a lot of people. Gladiator, you got 2 people. So I'm expecting, and Algared and I talked about this, somehow shrinking the number of people required for the turrets. Now either that's remote turreting some of them, removing some of them, and maybe only having less turrets or bigger turrets, essentially like you're suggesting there with going to size 6s or whatever like that. I don't think size 6s would be, that seems really big to me, Algared. I don't know about you, but like size 6s, that's bigger than the Redeemer and the Reclaimer. That to put that in perspective, the Kraken has size 7s. So that seems way too big.
I certainly don't see it having size 7s based on the Kraken, and yet
I think the Polaris has size 6s, so that makes it bigger than the Polaris, which it just sounds too big. 5 maybe. I would think more realistically 3 or 4s, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think if the turrets had, even if you had a couple of quad size 4s on it instead of the multiple twin 2s or twin 3s, it would certainly be much better. But yeah, we've talked about, you know, shrinking the number of turrets on it, whether you slave some of them to another turret so they're, you know, they're remote, whether you make some remote anyway. But we've certainly talked along those lines in the past. I think I could understand, I think, why they're saying the size 7. Isn't that the size weapon on the Ares? What size is the weapon on the Ares from memory?
Yes, that's size 7. You're correct.
So I can understand them putting the size 7 as a suggestion there because, A, it was something that was suggested in a subscriber newsletter, which I'm assuming is a jump point.
The Nautilus has 2 size 7s on it, so that literally puts the Retaliator in such a different field of what it's in now. That essentially makes it like the Ares of, you know, mid to large size ships. That makes it go from a bomber. Like, why would you use the bombs when you can use the size 7 guns? Like, that's insane.
It makes it. It puts it into the. It even puts it above a Polaris, which has got missiles on, I think, size 5s.
Yeah. I think he's getting way too eager there with the ship size. Size 7, no way, just no way.
Yes, they've done it with an Ares, but I personally think the Ares was a mistake.
I think the Ares is a massive mistake. It's caused so many problems. Another cart before the horse. I think they could have released it into the game towards the end before release, but where they put it there, they just saw dollar signs because they took two things that the people wanted. Crusader was flavor of the month, and people have been asking for a cap ship killer, you know, and
a Brut gun, you know, and
I think
to me it was
I think it needed to be a very slow firing sniper gun like the Ion. I think the Burt gun, that thing needs to be like a shotgun. You know, the scatter gun. The ones, it needs to be like a shotgun, not a Burt gun. And I actually hope in time that gets. Sorry to the Inferno owners, but I think your gun needs to be changed because it needs to be right up in the face with heavy armor, and that's what it sounds like, right? But they've changed how like it used to be really inaccurate, and now they've made it quite accurate. Like it needs to be able to shoot an Idris, but not like if you're shooting at a fighter, it needs to draw its outline. Essentially,
if you're shooting at a capital ship, you're shooting at the side of a barn. If you're shooting at a fighter, you're shooting at a mosquito.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You know, so take your poison. You can't have it both ways, guys. I'm sorry. You either want a capital ship killer that doesn't need the accuracy and just shoot, or you need something that's aimed for pinpoint accuracy.
And yes, you should be able to shoot a fighter with an Ion, right? As you should be able to shoot a fighter with an Inferno. But the amount of shots required, it needs to be accurate with the Inferno. With the Iron, it can be accurate, but that fire rate needs to be so damn low. Yes, you shoot it once and it's dead. That's right, but it's going to be so hard to do it because if that ship's moving, you can't. So they need to turn down the accuracy of the gun. So unless you're sitting dead still in the think about it, you know, in a game when you move, like in a first-person shooter, if you move, it's less accurate. That's how they balance the Ion. If it's moving, the ship is inaccurate as shit.
Yeah,
it needs to sit still because the capital ship will not be able to just turn and shoot at it. You sit still, you snipe it, or you're so close that they don't have the guns on you. They're the two blind zones on a capital ship, and I reckon that's eventually where it'll go. But right now, they're balanced it for today, and so everything's balanced against fighters. And you can go look at all the other ships in game, and they are all nerfed to shit to move around. Say something like the Gladius. So they've slowed the shit out of the Redeemer. They stuffed with the turrets that they've now unstuffed. But you can look at the Ares. They did the same thing. It's not until we get bigger ships and armor until we're going to see bigger changes happening to some of those ships. So
and that really is one of the things that comes into some of our talk when we're doing 6-month fleets. It's kind of some of the ideas we talk about in terms of, you know, weathering the storm. What we're playing now is not what's going to be played in the future. So you want to make sure, as you're kind of doing your ships, you're not just getting the ships for now. You're actually got an exit plan, so you can get the ships for how it's going to be. So that's just a little recommendation. Go watch that show.
Just going along with that, we've got a show coming out this weekend that I did another Cannibal Conversation with Space Tomato, and we're talking to Moist Noodle this weekend. And one of the things I really was surprised about when I did the show with Moist was a lot of streamers are very caught up in the now. Dude, he was so onto the release of the game thing. It really surprised me. And when you hear him talk about his fleet, Algared, it's all it's like you or I built it. Like it's all future proofed, all like I think he's got like one fighter.
He's obviously what the Inforunners and drunk our Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was quite surprised. So yeah.
I don't know whether that's actually the case, but hey, we'll take credit because why not?
No. He's a very it's one of the things I got from it was the first time I've ever talked to him. But watching his streams a few times, he's very logical. So
yeah, and I think if anyone who does look at the game and look at what it is now, if you're just building for what is now, you are going to just go the single fighters or the those types of ships. But you're going to go for the meta now that enable you to do stuff. If you're going for the future, you are going to be looking at what is the best bang for buck? How can I do it? Who am I going to play with? And that. And once you start doing that, you end up with very similar ships to what, or very similar fleet to what we've probably got, or what we usually would recommend. So yeah. And I did see SA drop off a little earlier. I was hoping it was just a drop off and he'd come back.
He had a lot of life. He had a lot of family. Clearly,
real life has interacted. So, and I did hear the children in the background at times. So, he's probably being pulled away by real life. So,
what's the escape thing here now? You've got to go get a number now, don't you, from one of the office things?
I have no idea.
I have not done it in a long time. I know it was that fan over there, but you need like a code or something. See that panel?
Yeah.
You need a code from somewhere. I've just forgotten where it is.
Yep. The last time I was in prison, I just let the timer run out.
Yeah, every time. Well, I just normally log out because it's that damn annoying, and I just come back. Then it just ends my play session. I think that I don't think. I'd love to see the stats on people getting into prison and they just log out, and I reckon it's astronomically high because it's not fun. It's boring as shit. Who wants to run? Like I just literally ran down 15 tunnels. 15, not 5 or 2, 15, and then and then it bugged out and kicked me out anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah, and reset your timer.
Yeah, back to 32 minutes.
All right, so a comment which was basically directed at SA, but I'll read it so we can know what it was, and it was from Eric Evans. He said, with respect to the Retaliator, since the UAE looked to replace the Aegis assets with Anvil assets, would there be a modular Anvil equivalent to the Retaliator?
Say that again, sorry, I was reading the code.
So, with respect to the Retaliator, since the UAE looked to replace the Aegis assets with Anvil, would there be a modular Anvil equivalent to Retaliator? My thought is no.
Would you say a modular anvil? A modular anvil to the Retaliator?
Basically an Anvil equivalent of a Retaliator with modules. My answer is no, because that's what they did. They brought out the Eclipse. The Eclipse has significantly less crew and basically half the torpedoes. So 1 crew versus 5, 3 torpedoes versus 5.
You've also got the Gladiator that's from Anvil as well.
Yep. And then you've got, you've also got the Gladiator. So, yeah, I don't see it. So.
Error? What?
Yeah, they lied to you. Okay, so moving on. Bee's channel says, could you see a variant, say, a Cutlass Orange? No, we can't see any Cutlass. No more Cutlass. Sorry. I hate the Cutlass variants more than I hate the Nomad at this point.
Yeah, and then they stuff their own naming convention. So
yeah, but at least Cutlass Orange is a color. So All right, so could you see a variant, say a Cutlass Orange, have side doors open with mining lasers and have a co-pilot control the remote mining laser? Look,
This game is
possible, but
this prison is bugged as shit. I'm just gonna say right now. That says 3320. That's exactly what I put in, and it didn't work. So I'm really, really confused.
So yeah, look, they could do anything with a Cutlass. Should they do anything with a Cutlass? My thought would be no.
No. I'd have to say, Algared, going forward with Drake, I'd expect if there's any more Drake ships, they're probably going to be like the Vulture and be more utilitarian. Would you kind of like? I think the generic lineup's kind of done, unless you think different.
I would love to see
vehicles.
I would love to see them do more mining stuff, more salvage stuff.
Really?
Because well,
okay.
When you look at the lore, they're set up on planets in salvage yards.
All right.
So if they're known for salvage yard because they're taking the liberated parts of ships or being a chop shop, that gives them a cover for there being a supporting piracy.
So I just want to point out, you've got the Vulture, and you're highly likely to get a chop shop in the Caterpillar.
Yep.
Do you think they need more than that?
Oh, a larger, a medium ship, but
that basically means that 3 ships in salvage would just come from Drake, and then the Reclaimer, and you're done.
Okay, but on the other side, I don't want to just see one manufacturer do the profession. But if you're after the profession that Drake should be doing, I'd rather see them doing salvage rather than mining.
Oh, I agree with that. But I don't think it would hurt to. I don't think it would hurt to have a. Actually, I kind of agree with you. I don't think you would see a mining ship from Drake. I honestly think that last one is most likely Argo. Sorry, Misk. Oh, was it Argo? Oh, fuck.
Or Consolidated.
Yeah, that's the one we settled on, didn't we? Consolidated. Yeah, that landminer is most likely because I can see the Pioneer as a landminer, like or a modified version of it. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, I think the last one, that landminer would be that. Then you go off into the gas miners and the refinery ships. Totally can see the Argo, a Consolidated Outland, and a Drake possibly in there for the refining or the gas mining. I could see that. Yeah. So all those manufacturers come back, and then you've also got other things like we've got, the RSI Orion. Why can't we get an RSI refinery or gas miner? I can see that as well. And I think that you'll probably get all those manufacturers and probably an outlier. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. But like I said, anything's possible, but should they? Probably not.
Fishy was making a statement about the eclipse, but yeah, he means the same thing, Fishy. He's saying, because he's saying it's Aegis, not Eclipse, but yeah, he means the same thing in regards to the ship. You're just not likely to see a Retaliator version of. It's already got one, essentially. But yeah, I would say eventually. Like once they've filled out all the ships, kind of like if you ever saw that episode we did with the grid and say, like, you got to fill this out. I do expect eventually they'll go back and we'll start to see double ups. So let's just take one randomly, like the Prospector. I would fully expect to see a small, and actually I would also say, just like real life, the smaller a ship is, Algared, you'd have to agree more likely it's going to get a double up.
Yeah, the smaller a ship is, the more variety we'll see, because it's quicker and easier to do, and so if a company's breaking into it, that's what they do.
And when someone was asking about a half gas miner, half miner, that's the type of ship I would expect it to be. Something that's later down the track that becomes like a hybrid, you know. And you might even see one of the gas miners that has a little bit of refining in it, because like the Starfarer itself, the Starfarer is the way it is. Like I've concluded this, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I think the reason why it's got the refueling is because that nebula ship above it, or what I call the capital gas miner. I just call it the nebula.
Whatever it is,
Yeah, because it's going to mine nebulas. I just think it's going to tread so much on the Starfarer. They've made it more multitasking. You know, so it can take the square cargo boxes. It can do solid. It's also got a little bit of refining on there, and it does the gas and the resupply because it needs some other function because the nebula is just treading on it so hard.
I think part of a reason the Starfarer also has that massive versatility is that it's such an early design ship, and so it's back in the day when the game was significantly smaller, and so they gave it more. It had more things because there weren't going to be as many ships as there are now. Is the impression I get. But pretty much, other than that, what you're saying. So yeah.
Can anyone tell me in chat if I'm doing this wrong? This is the code, yeah. You get this code from here, and then you go put it on the fan, and it lets you out, but it's just not letting me out. I have done that right, yeah. Just add Inforunners in chat if I'm doing it wrong. But yeah, sorry, Argo.
And Monster Annie in the chat says Drake could do a prison bounty hunter hostage holder ship, but isn't that the blue?
Yeah, I'd argue that. Yeah. Well, yeah. The other part I'd add to that though is not Drake specifically, but you and I have actually talked about bigger bounty hunting ships, and I think once you get to the Redeemer, that's the biggest one we've got because we know they've talked about bounty hunting modules. But once you go beyond that, there's no real, and I'm going to get in trouble because of what I just said, the Redeemer, but there's no real massively multi-crew bounty hunting ship. You know, like a prison ship, like literally what they just said in chat, like something akin to a Constellation size or larger, that is like a prison. I could see missions for that, can't you?
Well, the only one we've got that's a prison barge per se is the Drake Caterpillar for the mission. Yeah. And I don't even know if that's still in game.
But you get my point, though. I can can totally see a mission as a prison transfer. You know. Yeah. And it could be really elaborate where they get the prisoner and they kidnap him and you've got to go get him back and bring him back and a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah.
If you're unlucky, your prison transport ship gets raided and they take your prisoner off you. And if you're lucky, you just go do a straight up transfer. So, or you go to pick it up and it's already been freed, so you've got to go capture them again. I could see that. All those types of things. But I think the blue is the biggest one we've got currently because you've got, with the prison cells, you've got the Hawk, which has got one. And then
I'd still say the Redeemer when they eventually bring in the modules would be the biggest that we've got. But yeah, I guess that's not official. But on the actual roadmap, it talks about not the roadmap. Sorry, the $65 million stretch goal. It actually says bounty hunting module for the Redeemer. It's actually the example of modularity.
I know, we've looked at that in the past.
It's the example of modularity. Anyway.
Yep, and that was it. That was the example they gave of modularity in the stretch goals. Yep. But I do know the Polaris does have a prison cells. I do know the Idris has prison cells. I know that Bengal has a brig. So those three ships will have that. But would you be using those for bounty hunting? Probably not. So anyway, moving right along. Stop in a Sniffer says, will we see an alien saucer ship? I think it'd be cute to have.
That'd be actually kind of funny, actually, like an alien starter ship that's a flying saucer. That could be kind of funny, but I just somehow don't see it because
I think we'd need to have a new alien with the
someone wouldn't
alien look.
Someone wouldn't like that. That would be, someone would just be dead against that. I can just see that now.
Yeah, I could see people that hate it, but I would, if I did that, they'd have to have a new alien. One with the classic alien with the big eyes type image. Area 51 type.
I know people want more ships from the Cyan and the Banu and stuff like that, but I have to think we probably will see more alien ships before the release of the game. But you have to imagine stating that they've talked about making expansion packs and making those races playable. The vast majority of those alien ships will come with their expansion packs.
Yeah, and I could see, like, I could see the very first race we ever get to play will be the Tavaran. Because they're in the UEE.
Not to mention though, you got to think it the other way, like how we've got humanized Banu defenders as an example.
Yep.
You'd have to imagine that there's, I'm just going to throw a ship out there. No. Just let me finish. So there's like a Banu version of a Nomad.
Yep.
Or a Banu version of an Orion mining vehicle or whatever, just like, and I know you've talked about how the Cyan make whole series ships, yeah? So there's another example.
So literally, they build the hull D and I think C under contract.
There you go. Yeah.
But having a hull D built by the Cyan, there's going to be, I imagine it'd be Cyan tech in there that would be changing the way the hull D worked. It'd be the same hull, but different technology, different power plant, different gravity generator, different whatever. It'd be different for some reason. Apparently, I think Paul would say I think that the Xeon gravity generators are more efficient, so they use less power, and same with their their other tech. So that would be an advantage for those ships. But yeah, so all of that type of stuff. So Riddick has another question for us. He says, with Pyro getting implemented, will all ships like the Merlin and Argo cargo be getting short-range drive, quick QT drive? We'd like to see it. But at the moment, your guess is as good as ours, but we think they should.
At the very least, that once ship scanning and that comes along and UI and that have kind of worked forward, it kind of shows to me at the moment that I don't think we actually drive the MPUV or Argo cargo in Squadron 42. Because again, you got to remember everything is dictated from there, and if they haven't brought some kind of simple thing like traveling A to B in an MPUV at this stage, it's probably not going to be there.
It's probably not. We're probably not flying them, but we're passengers on them. I think I'd agree with that. Yeah. Or you're flying it so blatantly obvious where you're going, you don't need it. Like you're going from this ship to that ship, and it's on screen. It's Graven has a question. He says, what 318 features take advantage require PES?
PES?
Yeah, I'm not sure what PES is. So if you're still there, Graven, can you elaborate?
A PES dispenser?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. A little lolly dispenser.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't answer that one. Next question, please.
Shem Pastor has a question. Algared, have you looked into Starlink yet? No. Why? Because my time is limited, and when I can, I like to. Persistent entity streaming is PES. We'll go back to that question, but yeah, I haven't played Starlink or looked at it yet. I've looked at it. It looks interesting, but my limited gameplay, when I can play, I prefer to play Star Citizen if I can.
Algared's main problem is he shares his net with his family, and they tend to get on and it hogs the net.
Yep. And then the net tanks, but yes. But going back to that first question, what 318 features take advantage require persistent entity streaming?
So persistent entity streaming is the stuff that is saved off. So there's a whole bunch that could come in there. You could do the new salvage nodes if they bring in salvage nodes, and things that you leave behind. I don't think there's really much changes unless I'm missing it in 318. There's probably the cargo. That'd be the big one. The cargo. Yeah.
Cargo refactor, yep.
Yeah.
And I could see those salvage nodes being really important, because you go to a salvage node, there's a ruined ship there. You salvage off half a ship. The ship's still there. You go. That should still remain until it's been stripped bare.
Yeah.
before, So yeah, I'd hope that would be something that would work with those. So, question from Twitch. What are your thoughts on Yogi Clat from CIG's comments on the state of customization for ships? And that's from Black Dream Hunk.
Can you link the Can you link what he said? Like, is it a forum link, Black Dream Hunk? Can you I know you're on.
If you could put the link down.
Yeah, Black Dream Hunk is almost always on Twitch. So yeah, I can see Twitch there, man. So just link it to me and I'll open it and we'll have a look at it. So yeah, sorry. Next question, please, and we'll come back to that one.
We will come back to that because we avoid Spectrum because it's often a dumpster fire.
It's also context. So if we don't have the context, how can we answer?
Yeah, so we do need to hear the comment of what he said. So if you can post a link, that would be awesome. The Gaming Tribunal, sounds like we're on trial, has a question. In your opinion, if this is true, why does S2 mining head have the same power as an S1 mining head when S2 is supposedly bigger?
I would say bugs.
Bugs, current, and I'm not sure of the context of that question, but I'm assuming it. That my answer would be it's bugs. It's also because the game is built for now, not for later. So that would be my base answers. But yeah, theoretically, you'd expect a size 2 mining head to be better than a size 1 mining head.
I think you'll find is we haven't had the component systems go in or anything like that, so they've probably just copy pasted it literally from the mole and from the prospector and put it into the mole and just not giving a shit because it doesn't matter because they know they're going to come back and change it. So yeah, it's like that with half the shit.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the problem. Not part of the problem, part of the situation. There are some things they know we're going to fix that when we come here, so they just leave it.
Yeah, you don't want to be redoing stuff multiple times, so they do it in the quickest and dirtiest way possible.
And if I were doing it, multiple times, multiple backers would be getting up them because you're wasting backer funds. In some cases it's a no-win situation for them. We fix it and we keep it up to date, constantly reiterating you're wasting backer funds because you'd only do it once or twice.
Nice to have.
If they don't do it,
not essential.
Yeah, and if they don't do it, they still get shafted by backers who say, no, you need to fix it because what are you doing for backer funds if you're not, so it's a no-win situation in some aspect, I think. Gaming Tribunal has another question. No, they don't have another question yet. Yes, they did. With 318, unless modularity comes in with it, would the Carrack be useless in terms of cargo hauling, in your opinion? Why? It can still haul cargo. Will it be the best cargo hauler? No. But you can use it for that.
This game, it will be the death of me.
The lift is the magical door that won't open.
Makes me wait half an hour, and then I can't go anywhere.
Yep, gotta love that.
Anyway.
Yep. So yeah, I think that I don't think there's an issue with the Carrack being able to haul cargo. It's got cargo space. It's got modular cargo units at the moment. They would normally be dropped off and then picked up and exchanged, or opened up and emptied. So I can't see it not being able to do it. So yeah, Cascadian has a question, and we've got our last two, believe it or not.
Oh, cool. Well, we've got 10 minutes left anyway, so yeah. If we, you want to
so that's good timing, guys. So if you got a question, we'll grab it in now, so we get it in the next 10 minutes. Cascadian has a question. They said, "Did I miss the speculation on the new vehicle?" Yes, you did. And if you go back and watch the video, and I think you may have answered that question a bit earlier, but hey.
Yeah, just recently.
And Toki has a question. They say, are they going to bring a large mining ground vehicle for multi-crew?
Yeah. So that's the ground one we just talked about before.
Yeah,
as well.
we think about it. We think so. Doesn't mean they are. Doesn't mean they will. Or when will they? No. But we expect they will. Is our thought process, I think. It's probably... Zenstrata, Inforunner, Execute. You could play some battle arena sessions while you wait.
I could have done. That would have been not. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Sorry. All right, next question.
That's it. We're done.
We're done.
We've got to the bottom. Either you guys didn't ask any questions this week, or we're getting better at doing it.
Yeah, we did go through them a lot quicker though, I think, this time as well. So, but yeah, all right. Well, I think I'll wrap it up.
Could we see it? So, another question's popped in from the Gaming Tribunal. They say, could we see a military version of a 600i?
No, I don't. Well, see, that's the thing. I still think the 325 and the 125A are real outliers. I was actually surprised when we saw the 125A. But we talked about that quite a lot, how they almost needed to go back and remove the 325A. But I think they doubled down with the 125, and they're gonna leave it there. Like, and the other thing is, you got to remember the 300 series and the 100 series has variants, but then for example, you don't have variants of the 400, the 600, or the 890 jump. I think that's also got a lot to do with their size, and they are a bit more universal, and they do a lot more. So I think it's kind of already implied that there is a military-esque piece to each of those ships. So I don't know. Algared, what about you?
Yeah, I certainly think, like, any ship could be. The question is, does the military have a use for that ship in a military role? And if you can see a really valid use of a military ship in that role, then yes. Yeah. But if you're looking at a military that's under pressure and being pushed to the limits by a foe, they're going to use, they're going to use a high eighth, they're going to use their four-wheel pickup, they're going to use whatever it is to do the job. And I could see a system that's being under threat from Vandal and cut off from the UE. They'll be using anything. They'll be using cutlasses even. They'll be using nomads. They'll be using auroras. I like the story of the siege of Vega 2, where the reporter says, the reporter's knocked out, and when he comes to, there's basically a charred body, and he's looking at a crumpled aurora. Because it was the police and the civilians fighting the Vandal initially. And so you've got that, an aurora was fighting the Vandal, and it's a crumpled wreck. And hi, Biker Scout, lovely to have you with us. So, yep.
All right, well, I'm using a raid today for the first time, so we're able to raid on Twitch, but I don't know the command for YouTube, so I've got to figure that out yet.
Yep. And we're going to attack Paul, I think, because Paul's been active for at least half an hour now, so we're going to go raid Paul.
I've just got to figure it out. Does anyone know what it is? I'm typing /raid. Yes, it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the new command is.
But if you are on YouTube, go join AstroPub's stream.
Yeah, so those of us on Twitch, we'll say goodbye to you.
Those of us on Twitch, we'll say goodbye because we've been sent to.
Yeah, maybe someone go over to Paul and ask him how I send them over to you on YouTube. But yeah, I'll send the Twitch guys over so you guys have fun. We'll see you next time.
Right.
So the Twitch guys have gone. Now I've got to figure out how to do it on YouTube, which is really, really hard to do because it doesn't tell me. Does anyone know at all? How do you do a raid on YouTube? Here we go. First things first.
And by the way, DreamHunk did that link through.
Oh, I did.
Comment.
It says
clicked in from Spectrum. So it would be worth. I know we've already sent the Twitch guys off.
Yep. It's all good. I'm finding it now. Hold on. This is learning things on the fly.
Yep.
Because me and Paul during the week had to actually, you have to allow each other. So I had to actually allow him to raid us and vice versa.
Oh, on YouTube.
Yeah, it says the customization tab. Here we go. I got the right redirect add, and then I've got to go other channel, and it's the Astro Hub. New HUD and Squadron 42. Is that what he's talking about? Yeah, so he's live right now. All right, guys. So I'm saving that. And so when I end the stream now, you guys should be redirected to Paul. So thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, have a good week. And we'll have a show out for you on the weekend.
Like, subscribe. If you like what we've done, you know, if you come back again and then you really like us, do it again, as Paul would say. So consider hitting that like button, subscribe button, because it really does help us.
And we'll jump on Paul's stream and make sure this works.
Yep, and we'll jump on Paul's stream and make sure it works. And we'll deal with Dreamhunk's question about Yogi Clat next session, I think.
We will do. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right, take care, guys.